Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 6 of Higurashi, Tsumihoroboshi. This is apparently the Rena arc, since we've been following Rena half the time. It started off like a normal Keiichi arc, and now we're following Rena for the first time, which is kind of cool, getting some of her backstory and learning that her house life maybe isn't that amazing, and how evil her dad's girlfriend is, or I guess was now, since things took a sharp turn for the gruesome, as we suddenly had someone try to murder us, and instead we turned the tables on them and bludgeoned them to death. Quite the brutal killing. But then again, this is Rena. If you've read the first arc, you'd know just what kind of person she can be like when she's on the offense. Or any of the other arcs where she flips the fuck out. You know, she's like this wonderful, nice lady, and then, like, you mention Oyashiro-sama, and she goes fucking berserk. Or if she tries to kill you, like, she tries to fucking kill you. She doesn't just make a gentle threat. She's like, I'm gonna go berserk and fucking kill you. A literal thought slayer. Well, she certainly slew one thought. I'm still on the fence about whether or not that person needed to die. I guess, like, for practical purposes, it's kind of okay. For moral purposes, it's, like, a little bit harder, as the person is genuinely an awful person, and you probably don't have a way to redeem them as a 12-year-old, and they're, like, actively fucking your whole family, but, like, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about actually killing them there, from, like, a moral perspective. For practical purposes, it's, like, 100% the right choice, though. There's no good ending for you. There's no good ending for you if they survive. Even though you didn't do anything. Alright, you don't need to get remarried. That was the first thing I said after I got home. My father looked stunned. He noticed the sad tone in my voice, and realizing I didn't agree with the idea of his remarriage, he looked down. I understand. I know how you feel, Rena. Rena, sorry. He said Rena, not Rena. I should have talked about it with you at first. That woman's lying to you about her pregnancy. Don't talk like that. Rena is... I'll tell you the truth. That woman and a guy called Tech-chan are a team of bad people. She went out with you because she's trying to get her money. My father didn't get it right away, of course. He looked upset because I called her that woman. I should have chosen my words a little more carefully, but I think I told him the truth clearly enough. I told him everything I heard and saw at the coffee house. And as expected, he defended Rena anyway. I was upset, but at the same time, it made me certain there was no other way than to kill her. I felt the pressure on my shoulders lessen for some reason. I mean... Right? Like, this is how things are going. She's like, I predicted the way things are gonna go is... My dad is a huge simp. He's gonna defend Rena to the fucking death. And she's, like, actively trying to murder me. So she's like, so she's like, I gotta fuck this relationship up. But before she does anything and gets the pressure off her, she tries to kill her. So it's like, oh, I guess that's that. Yeah, it was self-defense that was taken a little bit too far. But here's the thing, like, if you were in a court and you're like, I was afraid for my life, officer. They were trying to strangle me. I got away from them, broke their arm, and then while they screamed at me to stop killing them, I beat them to death. I'm pretty sure you'd still go to jail for manslaughter. If you were to say, like, exactly what happened in Rena's case. Now, she might get, like, a lighter sentence because, like, she's literally 13? 12, 13, I think? So obviously you wouldn't be, like, behind bars for a long-ass time. And they might be lenient because, like, you're put in a situation most people aren't expected to ever have to handle in real life. And you can probably go with, like, mental issues or, like, actual paranoia because, she's, like, trying to destroy your family. Like, there's probably some good defenses you could put up, but, like, I think the actual scenario of the encounter, there was a point at which you could run away. And if you were an adult, you probably should have run away instead of continuing to be aggressive. I think that's what the police officers might lean towards, but, like, I can see people doing that anyway. But then again, I'm also like, I also feel like I'm a little bit colder than some people. And like, I feel like I'm slightly colder. So like when I say like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like I feel like it also not, a judge or the jury would not be happy with that decision. Would not necessarily be happy with that decision. Whereas I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'd kind of just give people a pass on it. Assuming that's what actually happens, because of course, really, since there's no witnesses for this, you're literally the only person who can say what happened. And you're, like, biased towards yourself. Because we only see things from Rena's perspective. But, I mean, she did try to kill us. She wasn't even subtle about it, so... whatever. Alright. My father thought he needed my approval for his remarriage, so he held back his anger and put a fake smile on his face instead. Hey, Rena, let's sit down with a cup of tea and talk. I'm sure you'll understand once you hear me out. A tamed animal is still tamed even after the owner is dead. Okay, I'll open the gate anyway. Even a tamed animal will notice one day he's no longer in captivity. It's not something I could teach him. He had to realize it on his own. I couldn't stand his fake smile anymore, so I left the living room. Time healed the pain from the divorce. Time heals any kind of pain, just like how dripping water will eventually bore a hole through solid rock. I mean, that's the Grand Canyon, my friends. The Grand Canyon. I did what I could do, and now I just have to wait. But the day I was going to wait for came earlier than expected. At midnight the following day, we had a visitor. It was that Tech-chan man. Teppei Hojo. Teppei didn't even knock on the door to get in. He broke into the house by smashing the window. At first I thought he came here to ask us about Rena's whereabouts, but I was wrong. The real reason he came here was because it was their plan. It was the last stage of their badger game. Rena was probably supposed to be in bed with my father at that time tonight. Teppei must have wanted to show up and catch them sleeping together. Teppei looked around the house, but he couldn't find Rena. He didn't change the plan, though. He grabbed my father by the collar and started yelling threats. He showed my father a certificate of marriage to Rena and shouted at him, saying, "You got my wife pregnant? How are you going to take responsibility?" My father had no idea she was married. He looked shocked. My father is a short guy and faint of heart. He just let Teppei do and say whatever he wanted from beginning to end. I looked at them from a distance coldly. The more Teppei yelled and threatened my father, the faster he'd wake up from his bad dream. I like how she's just like, "Fuck it, man, I told you so." I would be, you know, I don't know, I'd be like really nervous, but I'd probably be in Rena's place too, where I'm like, what did I tell you? What did I fucking tell you? Bad news. Now he'll wake the fuck up. This was a medicine for him. Teppei was cutting out the cancer I was going to depend on time to do, and he was doing a great job of it. I waited to help my father until I was sure he had finally awakened from his bad dream. I told Teppei I had something very important to tell him and took him outside. Oh, what do you want? Has Rena come back to Okinomiya since yesterday? As a matter of fact, she's hiding somewhere. What? I don't get it. Rena told me to take you to her when you came to my house. The fuck's Mitsuko thinking? Wait, I don't know what Rena's doing now. Is Rena gonna kill Teppei as well? I think that's kind of unnecessary. But we'll see where we go. Teppei followed me without hesitation. We walked in the dark with a flashlight to the place where nobody comes and nobody can hear us. The place forgotten. Okay, I mean, this one's pretty hard to justify. I know Teppei is like a piece of trash, but you could very easily get him sent to jail for like breaking and entering. For breaking and entering, you could easily get him sent to fucking jail or some shit. I don't know what the fuck Rena's doing here. This is actually a problem. Because it's thoroughly unnecessary to kill this guy. But here we are. Obviously we're in the junkyard, right? He asked me many things on the way, but I couldn't answer any of them. I just told him to ask Rena. The way I said it seemed to make him think Rena was going to betray him and get married to my father for real. Even though he was breathing heavily in a rage, he walked right behind me without any suspicions. I knew this day was going to come soon, so I was well prepared for it. I mean, the way she's saying it, I'm thinking, like, you didn't actually need to do this. The first murder made sense. I don't even know if it would qualify as murder. It's very possible she was feigning injury and would like try to kill you. I mean, she literally like lives her life scamming people, and was planning on murdering you. So who knows how many people she's fucking killed. But the part where you kill Teppei seems unnecessary. We reached the place where I originally planned to bring him, and I turned off the flashlight all of a sudden. Oh, what's going on? Everyone gets nervous when the only light in the dark goes off. But this is my territory. I didn't need a light. I could feel my surroundings even better with my eyes closed. I grabbed the big hatchet hidden in a bush, lifted it high. Sorry, I guess the battery went out. Hold on a second. Okay, hurry it up. I purposely sounded weak and helpless while I raised the hatchet into the air. Oh, I got a lighter. I'll just fire this baby up. Teppei found a lighter in his pocket and lit it up. He probably couldn't understand the sight illuminated by that small light. He saw a girl lifting a hatchet right in front of him. Teppei's eyes went wide. He didn't understand what was going on, but he understood his life was in danger. And yet he must not have been able to think fast enough to deal with that, even though he understood what he should do. Even if he could think fast enough and blocked his head with his arms, it wouldn't have meant anything. I knew Teppei would come to my house eventually. And that's why I prepared for that day. I just didn't think that preparation was going to bear fruit tonight. I chose my weapon carefully. I planned when, where, and how I was going to attack him. And so there can only be one result. The hatchet cut deeply into his forehead. I felt an indescribable vibration through the hatchet when it hit him, and it told me I broke his skull. He bragged about how good he was at fighting at the coffee house, but he sure went down quickly when faced with a murderous weapon. He was done in by a single blow. Teppei slowly fell to his side with the hatchet in his forehead. He looked like a victim in a B-movie. I killed this big guy with just one hatchet. He was probably quite experienced in the world of violence. But I was better than him when it came to killing. Why? Because I've killed someone else before. It's all done now. The bad people who deceived my father and tried to rob him blind are all gone. I did what I had to protect my life. If I had this much courage and determination when my mom told me about the divorce, I might have killed Akihito. If I did, I would have taken the life of only one. Because I couldn't do it back then, I had to kill 2 people in the last 2 days. Rena, let's finish it up. There's already a place to hide his body. I took care of everything. My hands were wet, so I shone the flashlight at them. I thought it was blood, but it was just sweat. Even so, I still felt uncomfortable and shone the light at my hands several times. I did all this in order to become happy. Man, I do not think Hojo needed to die like this, but apparently he's super dangerous, so... If the Yakuza guy is warning you off, I guess maybe he's, like, super dangerous, and you might need to do this because he might just kill you if you can't find Rena. I don't know. I don't know what her train of thought was, since they kind of just sprung this scene on us with, like, very little warning. I tried so hard, I got blood on my hands. I wanted to get credit for that from him. Oh, Yashiro-sama, let me ask you a question. I can finally rewind the time back to the day everything started going wrong, can't I? I'm gonna stay in Hinamizawa. I'm gonna live happily with my father forever. I mean, there's like so much sketchy shit she did with that encounter with Teppei. Like, hey, he breaks into your house. Like, let's think about this. He breaks into your house. He starts threatening you and your dad with random shit. You say, let's talk outside, and he disappears and never comes back. That's, like, super sketchy. Now you're, like, directly connected to Teppei and his last known appearance. Like, sure, people may not know where he went, but you don't really want to have this connection if you're, like, actually gonna kill someone, because now someone knows where you went and, like, knows that was the last sighting of Teppei Hojo. Wasn't the smartest plan, Rena, but I guess if the body's never found, you might be okay. This guy's a scumbag and works in the underworld, so the cops might just assume someone clapped him. It's rare to see Rena sleep in class. She isn't the kind of girl who sleeps in class because of staying up too late. She had to be tired from doing housework or something. Everybody seemed to be thinking the same thing, and nobody tried to wake her up, not even Chie-sensei. She got up for a few seconds and went back to sleep. She swayed back and forth like she was rowing a boat. She's in class. I should wake her up, right? I was about to wake her, but before my hand touched her, Mion gave me a sign not to. Let her sleep. She must be really tired today. You're right. I heard a few days ago Rena lives with her father. She studies during the day, plays after school, and does things around the house after that. I didn't know that. I also didn't know her mother divorced her father. Mion told me that, and she also told me not to talk about it because Rena's still hurt by the divorce. I didn't even notice she'd been through such a tough time. Rena's the kind of girl who doesn't show her pain to others. She always looks happy and cheerful, but she might be acting that way on purpose. And, oh, we do have that problem. Is the Kasai thread still live? That's gonna be awkward. That's gonna be awkward, but whatever. We'll see. She might be acting happy and cheerful on purpose, so things might be rougher than expected. Rena told me that happy days will one day come to an end. She told me she knew that firsthand. What could she have been through? I had no idea. That's probably why she tried to spend as much time as peacefully and cheerfully as she could. I must have hurt her feelings when I said I was bored of having happy days. When I thought about it, I felt bad for living off my parents who are both healthy and happy. I mean, if you're bored of happy days, that means you clearly haven't had any unhappy days or you'd be really grateful for them, right? I think Rena pointed that out. Or at least in one of Rena's internal monologues, she mentioned that. She's like, okay, well, you know, anyone who hasn't experienced the end of their happy days and struggled could get bored of it, but anyone else would be like, oh, that's... I can kind of sympathize with that, but hopefully Rena gets a few more relaxing days. For that matter, Satoko and Rika lost their parents too. Mion lives with her grandmother away from her parents because she needs to learn to be the head of the Sonozaki family in the future. When I realized all that, I felt bad about my situation. You don't have to feel bad for living with your parents. Mion seemed to have read my mind. She said it with a cool expression on her face. A family is the most common community for kids like us to live in, but it's not the only community we have. You mean friends? You're right. Do you think we're as good as family to Rena? Rena does cleaning, laundry, cooking, and shopping. She must be tired every day. She can spend her afternoon taking naps. But she doesn't do that. She spends her afternoons playing with us. That means, how should I put it? It means we're her best friends. So you're saying, we're friends with as much value as family to her? Seems like that's the case. Mion looked stunned, as if she didn't understand what I was talking about. I don't know what friends meant for you until today, but I believe friends are as important and valuable as family. It's actually very easy to understand. Rika joined our conversation. Hello, Rika. The most important thing is to have people around with whom you can feel comfortable. Sometimes you call them family, sometimes you call them friends. It's just a matter of what word you use. Are friends the same as family to you, Rika-chan? I don't know who was supposed to be saying that. They are. I believe they are to Satoko, me, and Rena, too. I guess that's why we always try to stay together. Do you ever feel lonely when you're with your friends? They're my family, so I'm not lonely. Mion nodded in agreement. Satoko was talking with her other classmates, but I'm sure she'd nod as well. Rena would too. I'm a little embarrassed. Why is that? I've been using the word friends, but I don't think I understood its true meaning till today. Friends are more important and irreplaceable than I thought they were. That's like common sense, so you should take this opportunity to remember that. Yeah, I will. I also recommend you don't say that again. Kei-chan, you just said something very embarrassing, you know? After all that, Mion still made fun of you. Fun of me. Well, that's part of life. Mion/Shion is gonna make fun of us. I think I understand a little better why Rena's always so serious about having fun. I want to be your best friend, and I want to do my best to be deserving of her effort. She's still sleeping. Rena snored. It sounded cute. Chie-sensei let her sleep in class, but she couldn't let her get away with snoring. Class president, wake her up, please. Rena, get up. Rena was still half asleep and made a strange noise. Everyone in the class laughed. Rena noticed they were laughing at her, woke up right away and acted like she wasn't sleeping at all. The classic, whoop. Just pretend to be paying attention. It looked really funny and I burst into a fit of laughter. Outside the window, the sky was blue, the clouds were pure white. It was still June, but it looked like the middle of summer. So is this going to be like a really short arc? Keiichi's here, so this has to be a short arc. We've already had like the gruesome murders, so what's next? Like, what's next? Like the Watanagashi and Rena disappears or something? This perfect weather wouldn't last forever. It could get cloudy and rain all of a sudden. And that's why we had to play and raise a ruckus while we still had this perfect weather. Like, where does this arc go now? We had like a threat introduced in the form of Rena. So I was thinking Rena would be like an antagonist, like a minor antagonist for the arc. But it seems like we don't have any focus anymore. So this probably ends. This probably feels like it's going to end in a couple chapters, or maybe we're going to get like Rena's paranoid descent before she gets snatched by the curse, kind of like we had with like Shion, or we had with Shion and Keiichi. It might go like that. That's why we had to play. All right, so the cries of the cicadas sound as if they're laughing at us because we still have some classes left. Damn it, I can't wait for school to finish. Keiichi-kun look very happy. Did something special happen today? Oh, nothing. I freaking love the Rena emotes. They're so good. Rena's staring. Tomorrow's tomorrow, right? Yeah. I'm just happy we have perfect weather today. I don't care about the weather tomorrow. I want to enjoy today as much as I can. When the weather changes, I don't want to regret that I didn't. I learned that from Rena. I learned that peaceful days are the happiest days you can have, and that they're irreplaceable. And what are we doing today for club activities? We need something exciting for the punishment, too. Oh, that's the spirit I like, Kei-chan. Because you insist, I'll put you through a living hell. Keiichi-kun, don't provoke her too much. Hey, are you scared, Rena? I know you're better than that. Let's show her our true power again. Remember, we haven't brought an end to our last battle. I grinned at her and she grinned back. I do remember that. Let's do it then. Rena, you certainly got me last time. For that, I must pay you back with interest. Oh, this is getting interesting. It's gonna be a blast. I can't wait for school to finish. I couldn't wait either, but the time we spend just talking together is also very precious. Like, where does this arc go now? I feel like the arc doesn't have any direction, so we're waiting for like the next hook, and it could be a play off of the events of last night for Rena. It's probably going to be. But it feels weird to suddenly be like, oh, the arc just no rudder for like a couple scenes. It would be nice if school ended soon. We'll see, we'll see. I guess we'll see where the arc goes. I feel like there's still more. They did it so early in. My favorite wine. The sweet taste of victory, my favorite wine. Toko went to join the children playing in the schoolyard. Since I didn't feel like going, I decided to stay at home. Most likely she wouldn't be back until evening, so when Satoko wasn't around I had ways of spending time without her. Is this Rika then? Besides, that was what I wanted to do anyway. I stuck my hand deep inside a pile of winter futons in the closet and pulled one out. Next, I filled a stylish looking glass with ice. The ice made in the freezer smelled of chlorine, though, and it didn't taste good. Store-bought ice would be the best, but since Satoko kept asking me what I was using it for, I stopped buying it. But it might be worth spending time to think about a good excuse for that if it meant I'd be able to enjoy ice without ever again smelling the chlorine. Why does your ice smell like chlorine? I filled the glass with mineral water and poured a little bit of another liquid into the glass. Watching the color mix into the transparent water was a very pleasant thing. This wasn't the right way to drink it, but I liked it that way. And didn't want to hear any complaints. Oh, is she drinking wine? Is she splicing wine with water? My body is very convenient because I can get drunk with only a tiny amount. And that's why I dilute that small amount with a full glass of water. Thanks to that, I can enjoy a single bottle for a long time. It wasn't bad, if you think about it like that. I put a cushion on my favorite spot by the window and with a glass in one hand, enjoyed the familiar view and soft wind brushing through my hair. A slightly sweet, ripened aroma tickled my nose, and just when I was about to start enjoying the atmosphere, the annoying one came back. She didn't like this bad habit of mine and complained every time I tilted the glass. She started nagging me noisily. Shut up, be a little more tolerant. I can drink and eat whatever I want. You can't. Kids aren't supposed to drink alcohol. I tried to ignore her, but she started making a fuss, as if trying to ruin the atmosphere on purpose. So she's just trying to enjoy, like, a nice glass of wine while looking out the window. There's no way I could enjoy getting drunk like this. I glared at her and threw the drink out the window. You wanna know why I'm depressed? I'm depressed because the way I die has been decided. It seemed she finally understood why I wanted to drown myself in alcohol. You don't have to feel down. I get to die instantly. It's not that scary. My body will be burned and cut in pieces, but I'll die instantly. But not yet. I know. Not yet. When am I going to die again? I think it's the night of the 25th of June. About a week after Watanagashi Festival. That sounds reasonable. Is it my fault? Of course it is. Are you serious? She was the one who asked me, and yet she cried when I told her she was right. Oh, jeez, she's always so annoying. Keep trying. I'm sure I'll get 6 in a row in the next board game. June 25th. I still had 10 more days. I was going to relax and enjoy those 10 days. I still had some wine left, too. The image, by the way, was, in case it wasn't obvious, that was Rika and Satoko. The image and background are of Satoko's house. Or, well, Rika's shed / their apartment. Okay. So I guess we might be leaning towards, like, Satoko Rika then? I feel like that's kind of the hook for the next arc, for the continuation of this arc. Maybe it kind of, like, meanders a bit between focuses? We'll see. Maybe we just stay with Rena. We might just stay with Rena and they might be commenting on their own death because that's, like, the hook for the next part is, like, who's dying next. It had been very hot for the past few days and the corpses went rotten quickly. Any housewife knows how fast fresh meat can go bad. I know it too, and that's why the first thing I did was dismember the corpses. There was only one reason I needed to dismember them. I had to reduce them to a portable size to carry them to a place where they'll never be found. The swamp? When men see the words dismembered corpses, they'll probably feel disgusted because they don't cook. But housewives are used to taking the guts out of fish, and they sometimes even see living maggots. They take maggots off the food or even cook it with the maggots still on. The heat will kill them, after all. Women don't tell men what they do in the kitchen because men wouldn't eat the food if they knew. I feel like if I'm eating raw food, I'm not going to eat it anyway. It didn't really bother me too much to dismember them. I was released from all my problems by killing them. Cleaning up the mess was like nothing to me. I got freedom and regained my happiness. I dismembered the corpses using carpenter's tools like a saw and hatchet. I'm wearing a black sweatsuit I bought for today because I thought I might get stained with blood. Blood stains don't show on black fabric, and I can just throw it away after it's done. I brought a plastic sheet I found in the dump because I thought the blood might spread otherwise. If I did the work on this sheet, I could just burn it after I was done. And in the end, dismembering bodies is no different from preparing food on a chopping board. So we're going through the process, dismembering the corpses. We're definitely still following Rena this arc then. So what's the prompt going to be for, like, the next violent action that happens? Like, how does this end poorly? I was tired from chopping apart 2 adult bodies, but I didn't have a problem doing it. I cut off their arms, legs, and heads, dividing each body into 6 pieces. I heard before, blades get easily ruined by fat when you cut apart a corpse, so I brought many kinds of tools. And I was right. I didn't have to go back and forth between here and my house to get another tool in the middle of work. A long time ago, the construction manager was murdered and his body was dismembered here during the dam conflict. He was cut into 6 pieces the same way. Well, I had 2 bodies, so there was double that, I guess. I remember the main suspect was still on the loose, and the victim's arm he hid hadn't been found yet. I wondered where he hid it. I'd like to ask him. I smiled dryly. Unlike the arms, legs, and heads, the torsos were harder to take care of. I thought about cutting him into smaller pieces, but decided against it because it'd be troublesome to clean up the guts. That's right. If you, like, let's think about it. Torso. So this is a limbless corpse without a head. If you saw the torso in half, Basically, all the guts are gonna spill out, and it's gonna be like a complete mess to try and put away. On the other hand, the torso is also like super heavy. I don't know what you want to do with that. I mean, you could bury it like 8 feet down, but that's work too. I guess we'll see how she disposes of the body. I'm like kind of curious though, because is she gonna like bike to the swamp and throw them in? What is she planning on doing with these body parts? So she's got a bunch of limbs. So like she's got a bunch of dismembered body parts. How is she disposing of them? Like you chop them up to make them more portable. You chop them up to make them easier to spread around or carry around. Like I'm curious how she's gonna caught. I'm thinking she should. The smart plan would be to just bury them like 8 feet deep where they died, right? That would be like the smartest play. Assuming you could do that. That would be like a smart and semi-safe play if you think no one goes there, but on the other hand, like the bog might be safer. You might not be comfortable with like having corpses near your hideout. I don't know, we'll see. It might be too much time doing something inappropriate in public, like there's tons of reasons. Maybe she just doesn't think she can dig that deep. Let's see where we're going. I put each piece in a black trash bag and sprayed on a lot of deodorant. I wasn't sure if that would help against the smell though. Many bugs flew around me while I was dismembering the corpses, and after I finished putting the pieces in each bag, bugs were still flying around because they could smell the blood. After I cleaned up everything, they all left. Alright. Now all I need to do is get rid of these 12 black bags. Burning them would be easy, but I don't think I can burn them to ashes without a cremator. That's true. Never play Ouija on a graveyard, she's doomed for future party games. Yeah, she's not going to be playing with a Ouija board anytime soon. I don't remember when they were invented. They were invented in like the 60s, right? Yeah, they're probably exist. But what is she going to do with these? So she's dismembered it, and now she's thinking like, I can't burn them. Yeah, you need a really hot furnace to burn, to turn bone to ash. The best way is to bury them somewhere. Yep. Other than the torsos, every piece is small enough to fit in my backpack. See, I think she's gonna. I'm like worried she's gonna get caught carrying the corpses around. Oyashiro-sama will save her. Oyashiro-sama usually only disappears people. I could easily carry them without being noticed. I could throw them in the river running through the damn construction site. If I did that, someone would find them for sure. Yeah, the river's not a good call. Don't do that one. I'd seen on the news several times before that a bag with a body part in it was found by a river. Every time I hear something like that, I always thought the murderer was stupid. But there is one upside to the water, though, that she hasn't realized. Basically, if something's submerged in water for like a long time, there's basically no way to get prints off of it. There's no way to get prints, and it usually destroys a lot of the DNA evidence. So, at best, all you'll get is a corpse, and you'll have to, like, identify... Like, you'll have a corpse. You'll have a body that tells you they're dead, and you might be able to identify the corpse, but you probably won't be able to... If it's been underwater for long enough, you won't be able to identify anything else about it other than that, like, it's a body. Like, you'll identify the corpse from, like, you know, the bones. You'll be like, okay, we can do a DNA check. We can do a DNA match, and we can maybe match with missing persons to figure out who it is. But, like, typically, if, like, guns and stuff are thrown in the river, they find the guns, but it's more like the fact that they found the guns and, like, some guns went missing at some point that points to who it is, rather than them being, like, a DNA match on them, because if it's been in the water, there's no prints on it. I learned this from some wonderful YouTube videos about people who just like magnet fishing in rivers. They find guns and shit all the time, so they find guns and shit and end up having to call the cops all the time, and the cops are just like, yeah, the cops are just like, yeah, it's fine, there's not going to be any prints on them anyway, it's been underwater too long. So half the stuff they pull up is like, been under there for a couple years. That said, since you can still get caught, probably not a great idea. The bog seems safer. I think, in fact, transporting seems risky. I feel like transporting the corpse, transporting a dismembered corpse is probably the riskiest thing you can do. So ideally, you don't want to move it anywhere. You need to delete your VODs. Federal investigators can frame you now. I ain't gonna frame me for murder. I'm always busy streaming. Making YouTube videos, doing all that shit. I'm too busy to kill anyone. I got a nice alibi in the form of you guys. I thought about dumping them into the Onagafuchi swamp, but rotten meat floats. Ooh, a good thought. Rotten meat floats. I thought about weighing the bags, but there's no guarantee they'd stay down. That left me one choice, burying them. Okay. Where are you burying the bodies? There are many unexplored mountains at the end of the abandoned districts around Yaoguchi and Takatsudo. Okay. It's probably best to bury them somewhere in the mountains. Really? Why do you think the mountains are better than burying them in this junkyard that no one goes to? I'd consider the mountain probably... I'd consider down here probably a pretty good place, but that's fine. Okay. While it would be safe to bury them here in the garbage dump too, it's not perfectly safe. And so I'm going to bury all these bags somewhere deep in a mountain to completely erase the two of them. Okay, so from my perspective, the biggest risk is moving the body. Because if someone interacts with you, anytime someone interacts with you, they might find you transporting these. And you have like 12 bags to carry. That's like 12 trips, right? It's like 12 trips. That seems pretty risky and somewhat difficult. I'm trying to remember I'm trying to remember. I've only seen a handful of episodes of Dexter. How did he? I know he dismembered his corpses. I'm trying to remember what he did with them after that, though. Oh well. All right. So burying them deep in the mountains to completely erase them. Sounds good. My joints hurt since I've been using muscles I don't normally use. I cleaned up the mess carefully and got into my hideout. While still wearing the sweatsuit, I laid down on the mattress. I washed my hands carefully, but there was still dirt and blood under my nails. I should take a shower later to wash it off completely. When I say things like disposing of corpses, it sounds like I'm the greatest evil of the century. That was only true if I got caught. His pet T-Rex. Oh, that seems realistic. What I did isn't a crime as long as I don't get caught. Plus, I didn't do this because I wanted to commit a crime. I didn't do anything wrong. I did this to protect my father's life and mine. People might speak ill of me, but I don't care about them. In the end, I don't think anybody can really pass judgment on my sins. Sins aren't something to pass judgment on, they're something to confess and to atone for. In other words, nobody can measure the weight of a sin other than the person who committed the crime. Do I regret what I did? Do I feel sorry? No. I don't think I did anything wrong. I truly believe there was no better way than killing them. I'm on board with the first one. I'm not on board with Tojo. The guy's a dick. He's the fucking scum of the earth, but I don't know if it was necessary to kill him. I'm sure it was the right thing, because my life had already started changing the night I killed them. A few days earlier, I just came home after killing Tepe. My father was cleaning the room Tepe thrashed earlier. His eyes were swollen. He'd been crying. Rena, where have you been? I was talking with him. I said Rena will never come to our house again. So please leave us alone. Therefore, he'll never come back. I don't think he'll stay away from us that easily. You gotta watch out for him for a while, too. It's hard to explain to him why Tepe would never come back. Yeah, this is why I was like, it's super suspicious to just, like, talk to him, be the last person who saw him before he vanishes. Or, like, vanish him like this. You know, if you wait until he leaves and you're like, I was hiding outside or something, that's fine. But you, like, clearly walked with him somewhere and were the last person to see him, like, your dad's gonna be suspicious. I can't tell him he shouldn't worry because I killed him. I grabbed ice cubes from the freezer and put them in a plastic bag, handing it to my father. Here you go, Dad. Your cheeks are swollen. Must have only noticed it just then. Thank you. What about cleaning up the mess? I'll do it. I'll get the vacuum cleaner. Rena, you called out to me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. They make their living by deceiving people. You were just one of their targets. Rena, did you know who they were? I found out recently. I didn't tell you because I thought you wouldn't believe me. Sorry. He looked down. When he told me about how he wanted to get remarried, I told them that they were bad people and that they scammed others with badger games. But he didn't listen to me. So I was right in saying he wouldn't have believed me at all. She took advantage of your pain. I'm a bad father. Then he started talking about how he met Rena, as if trying to absolve his guilt. It was when he was suffering the most and needed to drink away his sorrow. At a bar he happened to go into, Rena was the one who came to his table. It was her job to be a good listener when her customers talked. He must have really been a great listener and offered words of comfort when he talked about the divorce. If he was emotionally stable, he would have taken it as a kindness that she was only offering at the time, But he was so desperate he took it the wrong way. And after that, the tragedy was inevitable. He wanted to believe it was destiny, and he glamorized everything about her. It'd be so easy to laugh at him and say he was just dreaming, but I don't blame him, because being weak is part of being human. He had plenty of opportunities to grow suspicious of her questionable spending habits. My father just read that even that behavior is an attempt to cheer him up. Remember, he bought her a $500,000 apartment. Like, it's not like she's just asking for, like, expensive toys and they're going out on expensive dates. He bought her a fucking house. He bought everything she asked him to, and Rena had landed her catch. He shouldn't have brought his lover to the house where his daughter lived, but he was crazy about her and didn't even think about it. I'd forgotten I was a father first. What was I thinking? He started crying, and I held his shoulders gently. It's okay. I realized it in the end. You're my father no matter what. You're the only family I... Remember, their mother exists, she's just divorced, and she's like a cold-hearted bitch. He couldn't stop moaning. We held each other and cried together. The next day, my father got up early in the morning. He was already cooking breakfast when I got up, and he told me, your father's gonna get his act together from today onward. Dad, you should have used salad oil before you cooked them sunny side up. It's been a long time since I cooked. He pried off the burning eggs on the pan with a spatula and added salad oil to it. It was too late. Doing that just made it an even bigger mess, but I didn't say anything because I wanted to eat his eggs. I waited at the table quietly. He put the burned eggs on a plate and brought them over to me. It looked like he tried to salvage them by adding cheese, but it didn't really work. Still, it smelled good and crispy, and actually stimulated my appetite. Thick cut toast popped out of the toaster. I made coffee with extra milk and sugar because my father liked it sweet. We put everything on the table. It looked terrible, like the cooking class of an elementary school, but to me it was precious because my father tried hard to make it, wearing the apron. Great, it smells good. I hope it tastes as good as it smells. It might be better that you do the cooking. I feel bad making you eat this. I'll take care of cooking when you take care of getting a job. It had been a taboo to talk about work in our house. He hadn't worked since the divorce, and it wasn't only because of the divorce. He just didn't have to work because the settlement my mother gave him was huge. Like, he's set for life from this settlement. Plus, I let him be lazy because I felt guilty about the divorce. But my father cleared his wrongdoing by showing repentance to me. And I also atoned for my sin of not doing anything about my mother by doing what I did the night before. Now we are both free of sin. I'm gonna try and find a job. I'm thinking about going to the Employment Service Agency today. Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, it's not a terrible thing to have so much money you don't have to work anymore and not work. I think that's okay. But it would be helpful if he did something other than, like, sit in a depressingly just sit at home and be sad because he doesn't have anything to do. Like, the guy's been depressed for, like, I don't know, like a whole year or two. Like, okay. Maybe he needs something to get to focus on, because he doesn't seem like he has any hobbies or anything, right? He was kind of just, like, depressed and not doing anything, so getting a job or a hobby would be a good solution to that problem. It's not money that he wanted. He just needed a normal lifestyle. I'm old and not very strong. I'm a bit worried if I can find a job at all. I mean, it's not important that you find a job or even how much it pays. You're just working for something to do because you don't have a hobby. What kind of job are you looking for? I'd prefer a desk job, but I don't think a lot of companies would offer one to an old man like me. I can ask my friend. Michan's the daughter of a big landowner in Hinamisawa. She might be able to find you something. Oh, it's fine. I'll do it myself. I have to man up, you know? I don't remember the last time we enjoyed breakfast like this. I don't even remember the last time we had breakfast together. So this is going well, I guess. From Rena's perspective, yeah, for the first time in a long time, the morning light felt refreshing. This is like the best morning she's had in a long time. The gold-digging girlfriend is gone. They're no longer half as depressed. I wanted to keep enjoying life like this. Her father's less depressed, putting on a good show. She can relax as her family is not in shambles. But unfortunately, I had to go to school. I told him I'd skip school that day and I wanted him to take me somewhere fun, but he tried to be a good father and said I had to go to school. Well, I have to go down. Okay, have a good day at school. He followed me to the front door. I was a bit embarrassed for some reason. He talked to me while I was tying my shoes. He followed me here not because he wanted to see me off, but because he wanted to tell me something. I've been sad ever since your mother divorced me. But I realized I shouldn't be sad because I have you, Rena. I didn't have to feel sad at all. That's what being a family's about. You're right. Again, I'm not a good father because I had to learn something that simple and important from my own daughter. Well, I have to go now. Keiichi-kun's waiting for me. Have a good day. Oh, Rena. I'm gonna cook dinner tonight. I'll do the grocery shopping on the way back from the employment service agency. Look forward to it. I promise I won't fail like I did just now. Please get a cookbook, sir. Please get a cookbook. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. See you tonight. I left the house. My father saw me off still in the apron, and it was the first step of our new life. I finally regained it. I finally regained everything we lost after we left Hinamizawa. My mother wasn't around, but I didn't feel sad because I had my father. The cries of the cicadas sounded like they were celebrating my new life. The sunshine was bright, the wind was sending up a nice breeze. The only thing that wasn't nice was the ticking clock? I was late because I spent too much time talking with my father. Keiichi-kun might have already be gone. I don't think he'd be waiting for me that long. But there he was, anyway. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Sorry I'm late. It's okay, I usually make you wait. So it's okay, I wait once in a while. True. Keiichi is usually the last person up, and we're gonna be really late. We should walk fast, I think. Yep, let's walk fast. We might have to run at the end. Ii-chan might already be gone. She's waiting for sure. We're friends. We'd never leave each other behind, right? Right? Anyway, did something good happen this morning? What? Why do you ask that? Well, you look very happy for some reason. I thought maybe something good happened to you. It's the first time you've eaten dinner with your dad in a year? That's probably a good answer. The good mood I was in must have been too obvious for Keiichi to ignore. I had not only my family, but my friends too. I felt something warm spreading in my heart. Well, I'll tell you what happened this morning. My father made breakfast, but... What, isn't that the right way to cook eggs? You use salad oil for making salads, don't you? Oh no, Keiichi. What? I have to tell everyone you just said that. You gotta use some form of oil, right? What did you say? Those rude remarks are unforgivable. Fine, bring it. If you're saying that, you're willing and ready to throw down, aren't you? Hey, what's going on? Satoko, Kei-chan, why don't you place an outside bet on our club activities today? It'll be fun. Ii-chan, what's an outside bet? What is it? Oh, is this the lunch? Is this the lunch they have to make? An outside bet means what it says. Satoko and I would place a bet on each other outside the game. The one who played worse than the other has to suffer an extra punishment besides the normal one. Interesting, so that's how they're going. I'd like to say, there is one nice thing about this arc. Because Teppei Hojo is gone, Satoko isn't going to suffer. So Keiichi's not going to be pushed to kill anyone in this arc. Satoko's not suffering in this arc. Because we gotta remember, Teppei Hojo is also Satoko's uncle, and he's like the worst person. He's like super abusive to her. So if he never returns, she never gets abused by Teppei. That's kind of a good thing, right? So by killing Teppei, although she doesn't know it, she kind of stopped Teppei from being killed by Keiichi. So it was like either she kills two people or Keiichi and her each kill one person. In theory, she's reduced the number of murders in the world by killing one more person. She's taken all the crimes on herself. Means I get to see one of you suffer no matter who loses today. So what do you say, Satoko? Sounds like a wonderful idea to me. Keiichi will take a punishment for being the lowest ranked in the game, and another for losing to me. How wonderful. Great, I like your spirit, Satoko. Alright, let's play today's game with our outside bet. It's more fun to think about the punishments than it is about the game itself. Sure is. Can't wait to see how miserable Satoko's gonna look after she takes her punishment. But keep dreaming, Keiichi-san. Ah, take that. Stop fighting, you two. The game hasn't started yet. Chie-sensei opened the door and came in. Take your seats, everyone. Start homeroom, and then you can all go home. Everyone headed to their seats. Me-chan? What? I'm sorry to ruin the mood, but I have to go home after school. I have things to do again. Okay. Wait, who has to go? Oh, well, sorry to hear you have to go. This must be Rena. This must be Rena. Are you busy with housework or something? Yep. Well, this old man has no right to stop you when it comes to housework. I don't do housework myself, our housekeepers do. You should help them sometimes. It'll be good training for married life. Don't worry about that. I already have the kind of skill, you know, to be a good wife. What, you gonna just troll your husband to death? Mi-chan looks like the kind of girl who tries to stay away from chores as much as possible, but she can actually do everything. That's just who she is. She went through hard times to learn those things, but she acts like she learned them without any struggle. That's also who she is. I like that about her. What, are you going home, Rena? And you won't see Keiichi go to the teacher's office wearing an embarrassing uniform. A damn shame. It's gonna be fun. Pity you have to miss it. I'm sorry. Went home right after school for housework yesterday, too. Something happened? Yeah, kind of. It might take me a few more days. Well, I guess you can't join us for a while. Maybe. I'll try to finish as soon as I can. Can't we help out with the thing you have to do? If it's something like carrying out old furniture, let me know. I can help with that. Are you redecorating your house? This old man can bring lots of help for that. Oh, I have an idea. We can make a game out of helping her out with her housework. At this rate, the person who doesn't end up helping her is the winner. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. It seems there's nothing we can do. Therefore, I announce Rena's withdrawal from the front lines as of today. I order you to take a rest till you finish doing your housework and return to the front as soon as you've regained your strength. There's many games for 4. Oh, can you play Mahjong, Kei-chan? Yeah, my dad sometimes forces me to play Mahjong with him and his friends from work. Ho, of course, we're good at Mahjong as well. And after that, they fooled around making a lot of noise like they always did. I looked at them, reminding myself I'd always have a place to return to, and left the class with a smile. I was going to Yaoguchi on my bicycle. I had to find a place to bury the bags with the body parts. Hopefully I could finish burying all of them today before it gets dark, and with that, everything would be over and done with. So is she spreading them out? That's why she's taking so long? Or is she only doing like 1 or 2 at a time? But seriously, moving body parts is pretty risky, man. Like if anyone stops you, or you take a spill on your bike, like, oh my god. That is like super worrisome, right? Like, I would not want to be moving body parts for a week straight. That would suck. That would fucking suck. Like, every single minute you're doing that is like another minute the cops could randomly, like, pull you over for something. And, like, everyone in this city is, like, on a hostile footing with the cops anyway. I don't like that the back of the tiles are made of bamboo. You guys haven't marked them, have you? I wouldn't be too sure. Keiichi-san, you sound traumatized by the experience you had with our card game. Every single card in the card game was marked. You could literally identify every single card on the... Literally every single card in the deck. Flawlessly by looking at the back of them. I think there are some scratches on them. They're cheap ones, you know. More fun when there's an element of doubt, don't you think? Hey, how many reds do you want to use? 6? Rika sounded professional and it scared me. Oh well. I'll start by checking the tiles. Playing Mahjong with my family is different than playing as a club activity. I gotta be cautious. Yeah, you can play normally with your family. It's possible one tile is missing or that there's an extra of a particular tile in here. You don't do things like that. You don't do things like that. Still, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. Let's see. Let's put them all face up on the table and check them before we start the game. Come on. Everybody flip the tiles face up. Never forget, their club's rules are win at all costs. One dragon's missing. One low pin and one low so are missing too. Ooh, low wand's missing too. What's going on? There's many missing tiles. I remember. Hold on a sec. Mion hit the palm of her hand with her fist. moving her chair aside and stuck her finger into a gap in the floorboards. She then pulled the tile out of there. There you go, this is the dragon. I don't remember where I put the other 3. Wait, Mion. Why are there tiles hidden in the classroom? Well, you know. She must have hidden the other 3 tiles in the classroom and forgot where. We couldn't play Mahjong with 3 tiles missing. I suggested another game, but Mion insisted we had to find them and suggested making the treasure hunt our game. There are 3 tiles and 4 people. So there will definitely be a winner and some losers. As long as I can make Keiichi suffer a punishment. I care a little as to what kind of game we play, but to be honest, I'd prefer to play something more interesting than that. I agree. Plus, you're not sure they're here in the classroom, right, Mion? No, they're here. Or maybe this old man might have put them in his pockets and left them by the washing machine. I don't remember. God damn it, Mion. I recommend checking the total number of tiles after we play Mahjong with Mion next time. Everybody except Mion nodded in agreement. What? You don't want to play our classroom tile hunting game? In other words, cleaning the mess Shion made so she could cheat? Do it yourself. Don't use our club activities for personal reasons. Fine. What do you want to do? We can't play Mahjong now. What are we playing then? Does anyone have any idea? As club president, Mion usually decides what we'll play. Are we going to go to Rena's house? Is that where we're going to fuck up? I couldn't just come up with something on the spot. What we're all thinking, Mion hit her palm with her fist like she did earlier. I got an idea. If you don't want to hunt for tiles, let's do a real treasure hunt. What name comes to your mind when I say treasure hunting? Rena, right? Oh, fuck. This is bad. This is bad. I see where this is going. This ends poorly. You mean, are we going to the garbage dump at the damn construction site? I don't really go there often, but the place is large. Oh, man. The ominous music just started playing, too. Like, I knew what was happening the second she changed the game. No way. This is how this goes down? Oh, you fucked up, dudes. I heard the place is haunted by the ghost of the man who was murdered there. His body cut into pieces. We shouldn't go near. A ghost. I like it. That's even better. I didn't know there was a rumor like that. I do know someone was murdered there and the main suspect is still on the loose. He hid the arm of the victim and hasn't been found yet, right? It's a rumor the construction site manager, the victim of the dismemberment murder case, became a ghost. He's wandering around the place to find his missing arm. Rika, you don't like ghosts? Don't tell me you're still scared of ghosts. You know how we had that wine bottle scene with Rika and Satoko and Rika was like, it's fucking your fault we all die? You getting a feeling, guys? I'm certainly getting a feeling. Satoko's gonna find one of the black garbage bags. I think that's how it goes. They changed the game. And that's why Rika doesn't want to go. I think Rika, for whatever reason, knows. I think that's the supernatural part, right? She's like, we're all gonna die, it's gonna be Satoko's fault. And I think I know how it goes now, right? They go treasure hunting. They find one of the body parts. And it just goes poorly from there. Oh man, that's not good. Shrine maiden. I can see them if I don't want to. How, you can see ghosts? If I remember right, I've heard those who can see spirits or see them naturally as they do us. Utterly ridiculous. I've been living with Rika for a long time, but I've never seen anything like that. That's because you can't see them, but I can. For example, when you're asleep in your bed, I always see... Rika, why did you smile like that? What were you about to say? What do you see when I'm sleeping? Satoko, I feel sorry for you. You can pretend you're not scared of ghosts during the day, but I'm pretty sure you get scared when it gets dark. I'm gonna have to make a silent phone call tonight to scare the hell out of her. Kidding myself, I don't think anyone likes going there. Reina's the only one who does. If Rena finds a ghost when she's in her cute mode, she might take it home with her. Oh, it's so true. She'd say, I'm taking you home with me. It was so easy to imagine that all of us laughed. Well, let's do it. Let's go treasure hunting. If you find a ghost, you win. You get a point if you find the victim's missing right arm. And you also get a point if you find anything that Rena would like. We can show what we found to Rena later, and we'll let her decide who the winner is. I can't wait to win the game and make Keiichi take double punishment. Toko, are you sure you want to win? That means you're gonna see a ghost. I believe this is Rika saying that. She's like, are you fucking serious? You want to go here? If she actually has any foresight, that's what she's doing. Stop it! You're getting on my nerves. I don't want to go there. I'm scared of ghosts too. What do you mean you're scared of ghosts too? Who else are you referring to? I'm not scared at all. Keiichi said stop doing that. Let's go, everybody. Let's check out the ghost. Oh, this only ends badly. And it'll be over with. Everything will be over and done with. It'll be over when the Higurashi cry. Here's Higurashi. Doesn't go well, does it? This does not go well. Rena has killed 2 people, and today is the day she's trying to dispose of their bodies. And her friends randomly decide to go to where she murdered them, instead of playing Mahjong. F. So that's it? Rena finished making her confession. There is no applause or curtain call. Ooh, Rena was telling the story. This might be right after the treasure hunt? It was a quiet, lonely stage that Rena performed on alone. I think I'd forgotten to blink since her confession started. Everybody else seemed to be feeling the same way. Right, I forgot this started with the story. Rena looked at us like she was a teacher waiting for questions from her students. We noticed she was imitating what Chie-sensei does at the end of class, and we smiled bitterly. I went to Yaoguchi earlier to find a place to bury these bags. It was hard to pick a place. I wanted to make sure no one would find them. I even thought about burying them in my backyard, because it might be the safest, but after I thought about it, I knew it wouldn't work. My father might start planting vegetables one day and he might find them, so it's better I bury them in the mountains. But you fucked up and left them instead of just burying them and hiding them immediately. Too bad. I don't ever want to let her near my father, even though she's dead. I felt like I did something very bad. Rena's plan was going smoothly. If only I'd hunted for the Mahjong tiles instead of insisting on doing something else, this wouldn't have happened. And when I looked at the others, they all seemed to be regretting their actions too. If Mion hadn't come up with the idea to play at the garbage dump, if Satoko hadn't found the broken refrigerator, if Rika had convinced us not to go, Rena could have had a few more days and she would have gotten rid of these trash bags. They'd never be found. And then what would have happened next? Nothing. Everything would have remained the same. We would have kept having happy and peaceful days. Rena had been through a hard time, but she'd been forcing her face into a smile for us. The fake smile was supposed to become real one day. None of us were supposed to notice Rena was going through a hard time, and after a while, she was supposed to be able to forget the bitter memory of killing those 2. She was supposed to live a life as if nothing had happened. But now all her effort, all her courage had been ruined. Well, now you got 2 choices, buddy. You turn her in, you leave her and pretend nothing happens, or you fucking help her. Come on, dude. Let's see how this goes. I know killing people is a bad thing to do. I didn't want to do this, and I don't want to do it again in the future. But I believe this was the best solution. I also believe I didn't do anything wrong. I should apply my utmost efforts when God presented me with the equal opportunity to regain my happy and peaceful life. Saying we should accept suffering and live an immaterial life without desires is nothing more than petty words from those who have plenty. None can belittle my efforts. Rather, they should praise me for what I did. They should celebrate for me. Rena Ryugu fought for her own fate, and she won. I don't know why I did it, but I interrupted her. I shouldn't have. But I thought I needed to tell her this, so I did. Okay, what dumb shit is Keiichi gonna say? Or is it gonna be good? Let's see. But Rena, why didn't you tell us? Oh, what do you mean? We're friends, aren't we? Friends are always on your side without exception, no matter what. I thought friends were like family. If you told us about it, we could have helped you. You wouldn't have had to get your hands dirty. What Rena told us made me sad. I like how Keiichi's just like, yeah, that's fine. Then again, he did a similar thing with Mion, right? When he thought Mion killed, like, all of his friends, he's like, fuck it, we're friends. It's all good. It's like, what? She killed, like, all of your friends. You know, her friends. Well, how do you know she's not gonna kill you? And he's like, fuck it, it's fine. But Rena told it, made me sad. I couldn't help myself from saying that to her. Rena told us straight she did the best she could. She told us that right to her faces. That's the same thing as saying she didn't need us in order to do the best she could. Keiichi, you can say that now, but... Wait, let me finish. I believe friends are there to share both happiness and hardship. If you come to talk to us, we could have done something different. And we could have led you to a better future. How well does he fit in with the village? A better future? There's no better future than what I have right now. This is the best possible future. That's a lie. Oh? My shout seemed to scare her a little. I knew Rena didn't believe this was the best possible future. She just didn't have any other choice. If she had other choices, she definitely wouldn't have chosen this one. I know you don't believe it because you're crying. What? Who's crying? Me? I'm not crying. Yes, you are. You've been crying the whole time. Haven't you noticed it? In fact, I didn't see any tears in her eyes or her face at all. But that didn't mean she wasn't crying. Rena was crying. She was crying because she was driven into a corner after all that hard work. She did to be happy, and her tears looked so sad. Anyone who couldn't see those tears wasn't thinking about her. I'm not crying. I won't cry. I did the right thing. I made the right choice. There's no reason for me to cry. That's ridiculous. I have no idea what you're talking about, Keiichi. I know. You're crying right now. Rena stopped laughing, and she spoke with a cold expression on her face. Okay. Let's say I did what you just told me. I told you all about my father and that woman. And then what? Well, and then what? Huh? Rena never talked to me like this before. It was as if she was mocking my ignorance, and it made me shut my mouth. You don't know what happened last year. Last year? Yeah, last year. It happened in June of 1982. There was someone who had no choice but to kill a person to free himself from his misfortune. Satoko gasped. Keiichi, I don't think you know much about him. About Satoshi Hojo-kun. I know he's Satoko's older brother. He's been missing, but people say he transferred. There's a rumor he killed his aunt for Satoko's sake. And therefore it's been taboo to talk about Satoshi in my class, actually in all of Hinamizawa. Satoshi-kun was under the same conditions as I was. He just wanted to live happy and peaceful days. He just wanted to live peacefully and quietly with his sister. You've heard about what kind of person Satoko's aunt was, didn't you? If what I heard is true, this is what happened. After Satoko lost her parents, her aunt and uncle got custody of her and her brother, but they were miserable people. Her aunt was especially cruel to Satoko, and Satoshi was the kind of guy who wouldn't hurt a fly, but his aunt was probably the only one he didn't have a problem killing. That's how terrible a person she was. Everybody in Hinamizawa knew the trouble the Hojo family had. Everyone knew their aunt was hysterical and crazy, and she bullied Satoshi and Satoko. Everyone knew everything. Everyone in our class knew it too. Mi-chan, the future head of the three families, knew it. Rika knew it. Satoko knew it too, of course, because she was the one experiencing it. The friends you're talking about knew what Satoshi was going through more than anyone in Hinamizawa. And what did they do? Fucking nothing. What happened? Did anyone help Satoshi? No, nobody did. Mi-chan had the most influence of all of us, but she made up a lame excuse, saying it might create a conflict between the Sonozaki and the villagers. In the end, all she did was hurt him by offering her sympathy. That's not true. That's exactly what she did. Yes, it is. Ooh, angry. Slightly angry. Satoshi knew it too. He knew you were the only pretending to sympathize with him. He knew you had no intention of helping him. That's why Satoshi hated you, Mi-chan. He said you always told him you were his friend, but after all that you turned out to be another Sonozaki. Just another one who bullied the Hojos. I didn't mean to... You didn't do anything to help him. You rejected his request for help by sympathizing with him. Do you have an idea how much that hurt? Mion tried to find something to say, but failed to do so. She bit her lip instead. Rika, you're the same too. Rika's just smiling. Now Rena's pointing fingers at Rika. Unlike Mion, Rika looked emotionless and empty, just like Rena did. Rika, you don't have the kind of power in Hinamizawa Mi-chan does. But your word carries a lot of weight with the old people who come to your shrine, don't they? There was something you could have done for him, but you didn't. And Rika, you did the same thing Mi-chan did. You pretended to be his friend, and all you did was sympathize with him and Satoko. I like how this is the rant that, like, Keiichi would have got on if he killed, Hojo. If he killed Teppei Hojo. This is, like, the internal monologue he has, where he's, like, hates all of his friends for not having done anything. Which is kind of curious. Like, he takes matters into his hands because he knows his friends are fucking useless because they won't do anything. And in this arc, we're getting the same thing, except Reina's the one taking matters into her own hands with her own problems because she knows her friends won't help her. Kind of funny. Like, it's like Keiichi is acting because he knows his friends won't do anything. Rena's acting because his friends didn't do anything. At least one of them's guilty in acting this time, right? You should try to help out of the trouble they were in. Can you imagine how cruel and merciless her sympathy was to them? Satoshi wanted help. He wanted somebody to help him. He was at a dead end and couldn't get out of there by himself. He was sinking all the way down to his neck in a swamp, reaching for help, waiting for someone to grasp his hand. You're right. Mika's voice sounded mature. It was very different from how she usually sounded. I didn't know how to save them. All I could do was offer them some consolation. I'm not going to deny it, nor am I going to make excuses for my sin of not trying hard enough to find a way to save them. I didn't know you knew. Rena gave her a twisted smile. That ugliness caused me to look away. And Satoko, I didn't know you believed. I don't know if you believe me if I say this, but you're weighed down with sin too. I didn't understand why she's blaming Satoko. I tried to take her side, but I gasped in surprise when I looked at her. She looked like she was accepting the sin Rena had mentioned. Satoko must have wanted to confess her sin before Rena pointed it out to her. And so Satoko opened her mouth first. I don't know if you believe me when I tell you this either, but I realized it on my own. I know what my sin is. I see. I realized it the night Nini disappeared. I wish I'd realized it while he was still there. I understand how you feel. The sense it was too late for regrets, right? I feel the same way. It happened to me before, and that's why I fought this time. Satoko, I'm sure you can atone for your guilt in the future, because you realized what you did. But that won't bring Nini back. He's not coming back. Satoko looked down sadly. Usually, she'd say the opposite. She always said Satoshi was coming back one day without a doubt, but now she accepted the fact he would never return. She accepted it easily as if she knew it already because he's her brother. Do you understand now? She asked me all of a sudden. That's how they were in 1982. Satoshi talked to everyone he thought who could help him. He told them he needed help. He told them what he was going through. He consulted with them. He even came to me, even though I had just moved here at the time. I don't think it was embarrassing or shameful he did that. People get desperate when they're unhappy. Satoshi tried very hard, but he couldn't do anything about the situation, and he asked for help. He kept asking for help. You said that friends are always on your side no matter what, but this is what friends really are. They're just people who you hang around with for fun. They don't help you when you need them. Friends are always like that. And that's why I decided not to tell anyone. When I found out I was in the same situation as Satoshi could, I knew no one would help me and that no one could. I didn't need sympathy. It only makes me feel worse. It's better that I, at least, have fun at school. In fact, I did have fun at school. I was very happy. I was able to forget about the trouble I had with that woman. Even if only for a short period of time at school. I wish Satoshi could have done that too. If he did, he wouldn't have had to feel constantly hopeless. He could have at least enjoyed his time at school. He didn't have a choice other than beating his aunt to death anyway. I didn't know how to help him at that time because I just moved here. All I could do was listen to him try to make him feel better. There might have been something more I could have done. I might have been lazy in thinking about what I could do. But at the time in 1982, I thought he was his friend. And now Rena's actually crying. She went from laughter into tears. Now she's wailing. I feel sorry for her. Can we give her a hug? Give a hug to our little psychopath. Rena's self-derisive laughter changed into grievous sobs. Her tears gradually wore away at our relationship of trust. Nobody will help me. Friends are just people you have fun with. You can't trust them. The more Rena cried, the clearer we heard her voice in her heart. Mion, Satoko, and Rika looked into the distance with sad expressions on their faces. I was the only one who could say anything back to her now. I had to tell her this, and she knew it too. She just needed to hear it from someone. I braced myself to tell her something that might hurt everyone. I understand, Rena. I understand what happened in 1982. I understand. They were heartless. But Satoko also told you this. They realized their sins. They regretted what they did and didn't do. That should be different this time. They can understand your pain and they can help you. You weren't here last year. I'm afraid you don't know what you're talking about. That's right. I wasn't here last year. I wish I were, but if I was here last year, I would have fought for Satoshi. You're lying! I'm not lying. I learned how important friends are since I moved to Hinamizawa, and I'll fight for my friends. If I was here last year and knew what Satoko's aunt did to her and Satoshi, I wouldn't have given Satoshi the opportunity to beat her to death. I would have done it myself. I would have done it in 1500 seconds. I wouldn't have even hesitated. I mean, he's saying this like it wouldn't happen. He's saying this and she can say he wouldn't, but he actually would. He's not lying. He's not lying. We've already read that up. I wouldn't even hesitate. I would have beaten her to death with a metal bat. That's easy for you to say. You don't know the kind of determination you need to kill another person. I don't know that. I don't need to know it either. You know why? Because it's an obligation to help your friends. You don't understand, Kichiku. You don't know how disgusting it is to kill a person. You can never get rid of the dirt on your hands. No matter how hard you justify it. You're right. Killing someone to save your friends is such a short-sighted way of thinking. It might sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I think things aren't meant to go well when you take care of an evil matter by doing an evil deed. I'm proud of my conviction, and I wouldn't hesitate to kill a person for the sake of my friends, but the peace I get by doing an evil deed won't last forever. We all know that by instinct. That's why we despise the evil things, I think. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. You didn't have to tell me that. I was aware I wasn't making any sense, but for some reason, I could easily imagine a world like that. A world in which I saved my friends by committing an evil act. The peace I seized by doing that deed didn't last long. It got worse. It ended as terrible, in a way as terrible as the sin I committed. It was a memory that shouldn't exist. I don't know why, but I know for a fact it happened in that world of possibility. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. For some weird reason, I couldn't prevent myself from smiling in embarrassment, even in a situation like this. But you know it too, Rena. You know you didn't want to get your hands dirty. You're crying because you wanted us to help you, but we didn't. You didn't want to be a murderer. You're lying when you claim it was the best choice you could have made. That's why you've been crying. That's not true. It's not true. You know better than anyone if it's true or not. You've been regretting this from the beginning. Even if you're able to hide the corpses without getting caught, you never wash your hands. The blood off your hands. I mean, like, people go to war and live with that stuff, so I guess she'll live with this. How are you going to fool yourself into believing you don't have to live the rest of your life bearing the burden of your sin? I mean, all the Kim Jongs are living happy lives. They're fat as fuck. And they've done way worse things than Rena has done, so I'm going to disagree with this. Like, 100%. Like, Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong... Who's the next leader? Kim Jong-sun? Kim Jong-un? I don't fucking remember. The Supreme Leader of North Korea, he's done some pretty terrible things. Mao did some pretty terrible things. And they all died happy. Lived long lives. Never suffered anything for what they did. I feel like Keiichi's projecting his own internal suffering on, like, the outside world, where the outside world doesn't actually have an inherent sense of justice. And people can do horrible things and get away with them as long as they don't fuck up. And there's people who genuinely don't feel bad about, like, killing a billion people, like a million people at all. They're like, oh, a million people, that's unfortunate. Well, that's just life. You're gonna fool yourself into believing you won't have to live the rest of your life bearing the burden of your sin? There's only one way to do that. You gotta believe this is the only choice. And that means you have to live your life denying your friends. Denying your friends are worth asking for help. Are we worth nothing to you, Rena? Of course not. You always believed that friends exist to help each other. Your friends were immature last year, and that's why they couldn't help Satoshi from his unfortunate fate. But people grow up. We don't make the same mistake twice. We don't want to regret the same thing twice, so believe me. We're your friends. We're on your side. What are you saying? Is that I was immature too, right? I am. You were immature because you couldn't believe your friends grew up. But I'm not going to blame you for that. We didn't notice until today you've been going through such a hard time all alone. People can communicate their feelings only by talking to others, but there's nothing we could do because we didn't talk. And in that sense, it's hard to say it, but we have to admit this is meant to happen today, to make your choice the best one for real. We finally talked about our feelings. We know you've been distrusting your friends since last year, and everyone regretted what they did and didn't do. So now, we've finally become friends. Finally. But it's too late. We only notice our sins after it's too late. That's not necessarily true. For example, as your friend, I can understand what you've done this time. What do you mean? I understand depriving people of their lives is unforgivable as a crime, but I also understand my friend Rena had no choice but to do this, so? I don't think you're filthy, and I'm not scared of you. If something like this happens again, we should talk and think about what we can do together. But this already happened, and I understand that. So when I say I understand, I mean, I forgive you. I don't hate you for what you've done. I said that to everyone this time. I said it to all my friends. I accept what Rena did. I accept she had no choice other than to do this, and that this was her last resort after thinking it through many, many times. So, I'm gonna side with her. Hey, Chen? Of course, if she killed them for money or some other stupid reason, I'd drag her to the police. But that wasn't why Rena did this. She couldn't run away, and she thought it through before she came to this point. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. When she killed Rena, she didn't think it through, because she was literally being attacked. But I think the disposal plan's probably okay. She's only guilty for not talking to us about it beforehand. But if I forgive her for that too, I forgive her for coming to this point. How's everyone's day going? My day's going great. For the part where Rena randomly murdered the accomplice of Rena, that seemed thoroughly unnecessary. Keiichi. So, I beg you all, forgive me for not noticing Rena's situation and for letting her go through it alone. My sin is that I allowed a day like this to come to pass. Keiichi-san. We're the only ones who know about these bags. If we keep it to ourselves, everything will be fine. Rena doesn't have to worry about a thing. Let's hide them somewhere like she planned. We'll cleanse ourselves with salt later. And that's the end. Let's forgive each other for our sins. And we'll regain our happy and peaceful days. This is it, right? Rena, this is the future you chose, right? This is the best possible choice? Keiichi-kun. Yes, this is a bit of a surprising twist. I was expecting things to go really grim, and it's like, well, now they're seeming like almost positive. It's like, okay, well, she killed like 2 people. One of them probably necessary. I mean, they were trying to kill her. Like, let's be real. And then we get here, and it's like she's trying to dispose the bodies, and we accidentally stumble on her, and at least Keiichi's on her hand. I jumped on the hood of the car Rena was standing on and reached for her hands. Admit it. This is the world you wanted. The choice you wanted to make. This is something you can't choose by yourself. All of us have to reach for each other's hands so that Rena can make the choice. In other words, I can't make it happen alone. I need everyone to reach for each other's hands. So, Rena, you need to do it too. When all of us hold hands together, that's when you can go to the world that exists beyond the choice you made. Keiichi-kun, I appreciate it, if you really mean it. But I'm not sure if it's what everyone else wants. A little hand touched mine. It was Rika. Rika! I know you aren't filthy. You didn't give up. You seized your fate even though you had to dirty your hands to do it. I have no reason not to accept you. Rika's small hand was strong and she spoke eloquently. I know how comfortable it feels to be stained by disappointment at everything in this world after getting lost in a maze of misfortune, and that's why I can understand how strong you are now. How strong you fought. How hard you fought alone without giving up. I'm proud of having you in my life. I agree with Keiichi. I forgive you for your sin. But please forgive me for mine too. Rika. I'm just a little girl without any power, but I could have fought. I'll not give up on my fate. I'll fight like you did. So I ask you to accept me as your friend. Rika usually acts childish, but now she was like a completely different person. She meant every word she was saying. And then another little hand reached to ours. Satoko. Satoko put her hand on mine and Rika's. She didn't say anything, looking down for a while. Rika urged her to speak. Kid, I lost both our parents. We never cried about it, though. We have you, a family, a bit of friends. I want to continue to be a family for you. It's natural to get it all out and confess everything to your family, because, well, they're your family. I think today was a great opportunity for us. I appreciate we had the chance to forgive each other for our sins. A family made of friends. Toko, I like that. I forgive you for your sin, Rena. Please forgive me for mine, too. A big hand reached for ours. It was Mion's. I always thought it was my job as leader of this club to talk about the importance of friends. So I guess I'm not that good a leader after all. Mion. Sorry, I didn't mean to make fun of you. Mion still smiled and scratched her head. Rena, I'm ashamed of myself as your friend, and as the club president for not being able to notice what you've been through. I'd like you to forgive me for that. Of course, I also forgive you for not telling us about it. You couldn't tell me because I wasn't good enough for you. I thought I was trying to be a good leader, but I guess I wasn't doing my job. It's my fault, so I forgive you for your sin, Rena. Rena, now you have all our hands. We're all ready for you. It's your turn. Reach out for us. Come to us. This is the world you wanted. You have all of our hands right here for you to reach. Don't hesitate. I'm a murderer. I'll get you into trouble. Rena, Riki, don't need to say anything. We're all reaching for your hand. What else do we need to say or prove? You don't need to say anything. All you need to do is reach out for us. Come on, Rena. This is real. It's not too late. You still have choices you can make. Choose. You can still make it. Come on. It's not too late to start over again. Rena slowly reached out, and her hand touched ours. She didn't hold our hands. All she needed to do was touch our hands to show us her will. She chose to live, to share her life with her friends, rather than refuse them for the rest of her life. I took a step closer and firmly grasped her wrist. It was getting dark and some stars appeared in the sky. We all forgave each other for our sins for the first time. It was a little embarrassing, but Rena's tears made us all cry, and we kept crying together. We stood in a circle, holding each other by the shoulder, and putting our heads together in the middle. We were a family made of friends. We forgave each other, and we're happy together. There's a memory in the back of my mind, but it's not supposed to exist. I tried to save one of my friends in that world, and in order to do that, I rejected all my other friends. I acted recklessly alone, and I brought about the end of the world. The situation we had here is the same as that incident in that faraway world, in the sense that people have been deprived of their lives to save one friend of mine. But other than that, it was different. We have Rena, Mion, Satoko, Rika, and myself. Nobody is missing. We're gonna regain them. We're gonna regain those happy and peaceful days. The road going there might be a little rough, but we'll walk it together. We all will. So, ready for a long bike ride? A long and arduous bike ride up into the mountains. We went to the place in the mountains of Higurashi Rena picked for bearing the bags. Carrying corpses is a scary thing to do, but it made us united more strongly because of that. Since each part of the corpses is in a separate trash bag, we can tell what's inside each bag by touching it. First, we forced ourselves to laugh when we had to touch the bodies because we were scared, but after a while we got used to it to the point where we could make jokes about it. Of course, it was probably a bluff. We all tried our best, though. Mion somehow had detailed knowledge of how to hide corpses, and she told me to dig the hole deeper. Rika helped carry the bags. Satoko used her talent of setting traps to camouflage the place where we buried the bags. And me? Well, I was in charge of digging the hole. Rena dug it earlier, but I made it a little deeper. After we finished all that, we walked back to the place where we parked our bicycles and looked back at the place where we buried the bags. It was completely unnoticeable. We'd never be able to find the place again once we left for home. That's how perfect it looked. Great. Thank you all for your hard work. We're done here. It's time to go home. Mion said it cheerfully, as if we just finished club activities or something. We had no more bags to carry, and we no longer had a burden to carry either. We got on our bikes, but Rena was still standing there, looking into the distance. Hey, Rena. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I think I caught a cold or something. I feel feverish and dizzy. Rena's face looked slightly red. Mion touched Rena's forehead, and it was actually a little warm. She had a tough day today. She had to go through so many things. She had to find a place to hide the corpses. She had to dig a hole. We caught her with the bags. We talked about our feelings. We forgave each other. You must be exhausted after a day like that. Rena, you really need to rest well when you get home. Thank you. I will. Rena, we forgave each other for everything, so don't blame yourself anymore, okay? You're right about me. What do you mean? I couldn't fool myself. No matter how hard I tried to justify what I did, I was still scared. Look at me, I'm still shaking, even with all the help from you guys. If you hadn't found me, if I'd taken care of this alone, I wouldn't have been able to bear the burden. I'm pretty sure I would have been crushed by the pressure. She said this with a bitter smile. It might take her a while to heal from the pain, but it must be 100 times shorter than the time it would take if she did this alone. Rena's home was the closest from here. She went her way, and the four of us were left behind. Mion made a suggestion. I think we should just forget about today. What do you think? I agree. I think it would be best for Rena-san, too. Rena's a strong girl. If we act like nothing happened, she'll act that way, too. If you keep acting long enough, it becomes real, right? We'll be able to forget by not talking about it. Our goal is to forget about it completely. I think we'll keep wondering whether or not the day of reckoning will come for the rest of our lives. You're probably right. It's not going to be easy to simply let it go. Even if I can't forget about it for the rest of my life, that's fine by me. The most important thing is to keep it in my heart forever. The most important thing is we don't make her think about it. We nodded in agreement, just as my house came into view. Well, this is goodbye. See you at school. As always. As always. I'll set a perfect trap for you like always. Goodbye, Kei-chan. Well, this is ending surprisingly wholesomely, but is it really ending at like chapter 6 or whatever this is? After I parted with him, I still felt hot and dizzy. It felt really weird. I was even staggering to the front door. I felt as if I was floating in the air, like I just took some very strong cold medicine. Today is something very shocking, something that made me super happy and embarrassed happened to me. I felt as if my heart and mind were going to explode because they were filled to the brim with both happiness and sadness. I don't know whether I made a crucial mistake today or if I had the happiest day of my life. Yeah, that'd be a tough one. You're like, am I so happy to have such good friends? Or did I really fuck up today? I don't know which it is. All I could do is stare blankly into space. I felt frustrated, too. Even though they were my friends, I was caught in the act of abandoning the corpses. But at the same time, I felt relieved my reliable friends accepted what I did. Those emotions were all mixed up in my heart, and they were equally strong, making it hard for me to decide what I was feeling. I was losing my sense of balance. It was like the world was warping around me. I heard sounds as if I was in a shower. Everything left me with a feeling of unreality. When those emotions were about to make me lose control, I felt the heat on my wrist. The part where Keiichi grabbed me earlier started throbbing. My feelings weren't cooperating with me, but the heat on my wrist calmed them down for me. I don't know how to express what I felt when my friends and I held shoulders together in the circle earlier, but the feeling was the only thing I knew to be real. I'm home. Oh. As soon as I opened the door, I smelled it. It smelled really good. My father isn't good at cooking, but he likes trying to cook creative dishes. I remember he used to cook something very challenging whenever he was in a good mood. So this smell is a sign he felt that way. That's why I always liked this smell. The reason he's in a good mood is because he found a job. And not just any job, he found a job with a company created by friends from his old workplace. They remembered my father and promised to hire him. Oh, things are looking up really well for him. He told me some of his other colleagues from the old company are also working there. It must be very encouraging for him to work with people he knows because he hasn't worked for a very long time. The dinner looked great in contrast to how it tasted. It was a dinner to celebrate his new life, to show his determination, to regain his bond with his daughter, and make a clean start. Okay. I talked about a lot of things with my father that night. It had been a long time since the last time I talked with him like this. I don't remember when it was, but it reminded me of those days when I was still happy. Which meant I'd finally return to that time. My father believes Teppei is coming back one day, so he's still very cautious about locking the doors and windows. He gets scared every time someone rings the doorbell. I told him so many times they'd never come back, but I couldn't convince him because I couldn't tell him why they won't. He'll eventually realize he's free. I'm sure it won't take too long. My heart was full of many, many emotions that day. If emotion could actually burst a heart open, it might happen to me. My brain must have been overworked because so many things happened at once. My head was still fuzzy, but I managed to crawl into bed. I felt like the ground was moving. I totally lost my sense of reality. I remember that I once felt like this when I got the flu. I might get a high fever tomorrow, but I don't care. I don't care if I get sick tomorrow. I just want to enjoy the fact I took a step towards the future of my decision. Keiichi told me something like that today. The high fever and dizziness made me frustrated for some reason. But whenever I felt frustrated, I felt the heat on my wrist too. I grabbed my wrist with my left hand tightly. It made the frustration go away. It brought me relief. Even the dizziness I didn't like just before made me feel like I was in a down-filled futon. I was falling asleep in that down-filled futon on my first night in a new world. This dizziness didn't go away for a few days, but I gradually got used to it. This new world looked like the world I used to live in before, but the sunshine was a little bit brighter, and Keiichi's smile looked a little bit more gentle than before. Are we getting our... We made more noise than we used to. We spent every day slowly but in high spirits. Are we like getting the one route that has a good ending? I mean, they might still die from like the explosion, but you know. They might all die from like the fucking gas attack, but whatever. The gas. But like, that's fine. What an idiot I am. I underestimated that dizziness and caught a summer cold in June. I wanted to get better as soon as possible. I should have taken a day off from club activities, but I forced myself to play with them every day. That made it hard for me to get better. I finally learned my lesson recently. I don't need to feel frustrated. There's no limit to happiness in this world. As long as we keep wishing for it, it'll continue forever. I don't need to feel frustrated anymore, because tomorrow I will have the happiness I have today. We'll have the Watanagashi Festival next Sunday. Michan tells us we'll have a lot of fun and we'll go extra crazy. I really can't wait. So far, this is the closest we've had to a good ending. It feels like the arc is like completely finished. It's playing like old ending tunes too. Like that track it was playing in the background could have been the fucking ending tune. Ending theme. But there's another chapter. There's another chapter after this. Letter from the forestry office. Okay. It's still June and the air is filled with the cries of cicadas. How is everyone in Hinamizawa doing? The festival is just around the corner. We staff members from the forestry service are going to perform a wood sculpting demonstration at the festival. We'll be happy to lend our tools and teach you kids how to sculpt wood themselves. It'll be an excellent memorial gift. Also, we'd like to inform everyone we're going to cut down trees in the local hills this summer as part of the Fourth Forest Landscape Management Project. This project involves preserving the beauty of the forest by cutting down old trees and planting new ones. Oh, okay. Forestry Service needs volunteers who are interested in helping us cut down the old trees. You can enjoy the beauty of nature under the blue sky while helping us out with this preservation activity. The project will begin during summer break, and you can bring your kids too. This will be a good opportunity for your kids to learn about nature and have a valuable experience. The locations of the project are the forests in the Takatsudo and Yaoguchi areas. It was looking so good until we had this announcement. And you heard that little shaking of the bell. It's like, oh, it's hinting. It's hinting shit's going down. Yes, I do know it will go down with the festival. But I'm like, this seems like it couldn't get better. It seems so comfortable, but we're exactly at the halfway mark. End of chapter 6 is halfway. And halfway means bad things up ahead. Means things are only going to go down, but man, I think this would have been a good. I think it was the was it part 4? Was it part 4 that was like 8 chapters long or something? It was like a short chapter. This would have been good for a short chapter. It feels complete. It could have ended here, but they gave us the hook for the next chapter. Oh boy. Oh boy, this is not going to go well, is it? She believed if she kept laughing that she'd be happy. She believed if she cared about someone, that person would care for her as well. Leaving the sad memories behind, the girl turned forward to face tomorrow, without being spoiled, without relying on anyone, all alone to carve a path toward the future. What awaits her? Is it happiness or unhappiness? I mean, they did promise a tragedy. Tsumihoroboshi. I wanted to love someone, but the truth is, I wanted to be loved. Festival night. So it's been a week. Welcome. Would you like a hot dog? Our shaved ice is the best you've ever tasted. You can have it with strawberry syrup, melon syrup, or Hawaiian blue syrup. Try our takoyaki roulette. The winner is packed with a ton of mustard. There are a great many booths at this year's Watanagashi Festival. There's even someone selling model kits? Look, it's clearly a Gundam, right? This is clearly a Gundam. And there's like planes. And a board game. And then there's candy apples. Yeah, I don't know. Is this... And like, what else do we have? Yakisoba on the left. Chocolate bananas for 150 yen. More takoyaki with the octopus there. Nice. This looks nice. Anything can become a festival if there's vendors selling food and music for bond dances, I thought. It's still June, but it had been extremely hot in the past few days, almost as if it was already summer. When you have a June festival with bond dance music under this kind of weather, the only thing that's missing is to make it a perfect summer is fireworks. This is Kumagai. Uishi-san, can you hear me? Over. I heard a voice coming from my portable radio. Oh, we're following Uishi. With this earphone, it looks a little like I'm secretly listening to the horse races while on duty. This is Uishi. I can hear you loud and clear. Town councilors gave us a lot of food. We have oden, yakisoba, pork belly stew, and, barley tea. You mean the barley tea we can drink on duty, or the one we can't drink on duty? Well, if it's a canned drink, I'll take it. If it's in a cup, don't worry about it. Roger. All the members of the town council are just here to say hi. We have the mayor and the head of the Sonozaki family, too. What, that old hag Oryu's here? Can't you tell her I'm patrolling right now and don't know when I'll be back? Well, I don't think I can do that for you, sir. She knows you have a portable radio, so she told me to call you and bring you here. She looks really mad. I'm sure it'll be a stroke that kills her. Roger that. Tell her with extreme courtesy I'll be back soon. Please. I guess I have to go back and mingle with the locals. All of a sudden, a group of kids came running towards me from behind. After a quick look, I noticed they were the granddaughter of the old bag and her friends. They occupy a corner of the shooting gallery stall, making a lot of noise. Beyond Sonozaki, when acting her age, she's a cute, normal girl. But do I ever hate it when she acts like a member of the Sonozakis? She'll be the boss of the Okonomiya Yakuza territory in 10 to 20 years. Just you wait and see. See? Like, she'll be a Yakuza boss in 20 years. And while I was thinking things like that, I noticed Mion wasn't the one taking leadership of our group this time. It was the boy. That boy, I know him. He just moved here recently. One from the Maibara mansion. Keiichi Maibara-kun, was it? I heard the Maibara family from the city is from the city, and they're supposedly very rich. But he doesn't flaunt his family's wealth, and he has a good reputation because of that. Even though he just moved here, he's already adjusted to his new school, and he's popular with his classmates too. Everyone in the village seems to like him as well. He's very interesting as a person to watch. A man of many moods. Boys of his age sure have a lot of energy. To be young again. You're up next, Rena. You're lucky it's your turn. Rena, are you okay? Are you feeling sick? I'm sorry, I guess I have to pass on taking a shot. Okay. You should take a break for a bit. So, this is making my turn, no? Victory shall be mine. It looked like it was only 4 of them having a good time. The girl called Rena seemed outside that circle of smiles. Her name is Rena Ryugu. What was her real name? I couldn't remember, but I can check when I get back to the station. Rena is only a nickname. I believe she moved here a year before Maibara did. Her mother divorced her father, or something like that. She's a strong girl who does all the housework alone. She's a very modest girl, I'm told, which is rare in this era. Unlike Maibara, it seemed she hadn't really opened up to her friends just yet. They looked like a group of 5, but there's a distance between her and the others. It's sad, you know? Maibara has become part of the village, but Rena is still by herself. That's just how it looks to me. Uishi, the chief and the section manager are here. Please come back as soon as possible. Roger. I can't believe the chief came all the way here just to say hi to the locals. I guess he's very dedicated to community service, eh? This is Takasugi. Uishi, can you hear me? Do you copy? Over. Yeah, I hear you. I'm on my way back now. I'll be there in a minute. So, Rena's, I guess, still feeling guilty or uncomfortable about things. That's not great. That's not great. It's like a hint. It's like some foreshadowing of, some less than stellar things to come. If I don't hurry up, even the chief might end up calling me. I ran back to the headquarters tent. Okay. Still nighttime. There's those two. Guess they're probably still going to die. That's not great, but it is what it is. Can't save everyone, I guess. They're still dead, right? It's not clear if they're dead because of their breaking or not. Here's where things take a turn for the worst. Uishi-san, Dr. Erie's here. Thank you so much for coming. So what do you think, Dr. Erie? Uishi entered the cordoned off area. In there, people from forensics were taking pictures of the corpse from various angles. Eri was squatting down next to the dead body of Jiro Tomitake. Remember, Jiro's the guy who tears out his throat every root. When he stood up, he looked pale. I can't believe it. I know, I can't believe it either. As far as I can see, he clawed out his own throat with his bare hands. This isn't a normal way to go. Most likely it was the cause of some drug or something. Are you saying he was a drug addict? Who knows? Who knows? I guess it's gonna be my job to find that out. Uishi-san, what's with this 2x4? Maybe he was swinging it around? He threw it away and had more fun clawing his throat, I guess. Why was he swinging a piece of lumber around? He probably did it in self-defense. Did you notice there's several external injuries on his body? I can see some bruises. The easiest explanation I can think of is he was attacked by someone on his way home to Okinomiya from the festival. He was seized by the culprit, given a shot of some dangerous drug, went crazy and died. Never heard of any drug that can make people claw out their own throats. I'm not a specialist, but many drug addicts injure themselves when they're in a terminal condition. I'm sure the old man in forensics will take care of the investigation. Excuse me, Uishi-san. We found a bicycle believed to belong to Jiro Tomitake about 100 meters from here. Great, thanks for the find. Any other clues? None yet. They're investigating it right now. That means the place where the bicycle was found is most likely the place he was attacked. And then he ran from the suspect, ending up here. Uishi frowned, crossing his arms in front of his chest. Eri was looking at the miserable corpse of Tomitake, and he kept saying the same thing over and over. Impossible. It's just impossible. Doctor, it happened. It's gotta be possible, okay? Think flexibly. Although I get you don't really see something like this every day, despite being a doctor. Thanks for your cooperation. Okay, so things are proceeding as normal on the Watanagashi so far. Nothing really bad. We're getting the usual stuff, maybe an extra scene. This time we're focusing on things from Uishi's perspective, but honestly, nothing's changing. You can go home now. We called you here for emergency medical care, but it looks like it was a waste of a trip. Sorry. Uishi stuck his head out of the blue tent and asked, can anyone give him a ride home? Eri gasped all of a sudden as he turned to Uishi. What about Takano? What happened to Takano? Wait, what? Oh, your nurse? I think she was with him. Is she okay? Do you know her phone number? Of course. Kuma-chan, get her phone number from Dr. Eri and make sure someone at the station calls her house. Understood. Doctor, can I have the number? Yes, here it is. Okay, Kumagai got the phone number from Eri, repeated it back, and dashed away from the blue tarps. Doctor, Takano and Tomitake were close friends, right? Yes. Have you heard any troubles between them? No, not even once. They were very close. Well, I hope she's okay. In the worst case, she could be dead, or she could be the culprit. I see. Nurses have access to dangerous drugs. We don't have anything like that in my clinic. If we did, we'd be extra careful with them. There's no way Takano could smuggle a drug out from my clinic, but it's easier for nurses than regular people, right? Like I said, I've never heard of a drug like that. I don't even have anything like that in my clinic. Yeah, she'd have to make something herself. Uishi-san, she isn't at home. The standby unit says they're going to go to her house to check. Doctor, can you give me your address? Kuma-chan, can you also check if the police headquarters found any unidentified female bodies tonight? Maybe we should check the other prefectures too. Tell the section manager if he can call the headquarters in the nearby prefectures and ask if they have unidentified female bodies. Sir. Oh, this is not. Are you saying Takano might also be dead? Well, I don't know. I don't know if she's dead or if she's the culprit. Of course, it's possible she's not involved at all. She might just be getting drunk in a bar somewhere. Believable. Who does things like this? Well, it's unbelievable to me too. This fits in with the rest of the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. It's been 5 years now. That'd make this the 5th curse of Oyashiro-sama. Damn it. I gotta get whoever's behind this year for sure. I really want to put an end to these cases before I retire. Ueshi hates the curse of Oyashiro. It's been leading him around by the nose for 5 consecutive years. Makes him look makes him look incompetent too, or at least it makes him feel incompetent, right? The victim of the first year, the manager of the construction site, was his friend. And despite his desire to avenge his friend, the mystery only deepened. And one case followed year after year. Ueshi would be retiring next March. As a retiree, he'd be able to ask about the progress of the investigation, but he wouldn't be able to take initiative anymore. In other words, this year was his last chance for revenge. Would he have to put his head into the lion's mouth to capture the culprit? Ueshi quietly clenched his fist. I believe this maze has an exit. You see, maze is a convenient word. A maze always has an exit. You don't call it a maze if it doesn't have one. I know I'm on the right path towards the exit of this maze. I used to miss these minor divergences, but now I don't miss anything. I don't make mistakes. This time I could feel a response that was different than all the other times. I'm sure I can get to the exit of this maze. But no matter which path I choose to come to this point, Jiro Tomitake always dies. Hold up. I want to read that dialogue again. Did he just say, no matter what I choose, Jiro Tomitake always dies? Is he in a loop? Is Ueshi in a time loop? Oh my goodness, it's just sitting there. I can't do anything here. I want to scroll up and reread that text, but I can't. It's just like changing scenes idly. Okay, we get it. It's day. They've gone to school. It's the day after Bertanagashi. No matter which path I choose to come to this point, Jiro Tomitake always dies. I mean, that line screams that Ueshi is a looper, right? Ueshi is looping or some shit, right? Like, how does that happen? How does he know that Tomitake is going to die, or that he always dies? The word always dies is the key part, right? It's like implying that Ueshi might actually know everything already. So maybe he's in a time loop. See, I would have said it seems like Keiichi is. Maybe everyone in the village is stuck in a time loop. Like, they've been hinting at that. Like, some people seem to know too much. Some people seem to know too much. Like, just too much about what's going to happen in the future. Like, Rika seemed to know a little bit too much. We've had some hints here and there that Keiichi seems to know. Keiichi seems to know a little bit too much, like stuff from other routes he shouldn't have seen. And we're also seeing that in, like, Ueshi now. Like, Ueshi is like, you don't just say, man, this guy always fucking dies. Like, this person you've literally never seen before always dies. Like, how does that fit into your worldview? If there's no time shenanigans involved. People can only die once. Someone you've never met can only perish once. It's like some people in the town are aware of the fact that they're in like a time loop, or like vaguely aware. It seems interesting. Like an interesting pitch. Anyway, Rena's been sick ever since that day, and she hasn't been able to join in our club activities often since. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I still feel feverish. You do, huh? That's a pity. Hey, Rena, why don't you just try and play with us today? I think you'll feel a lot better if you blow off some steam with us. You got this, old man's agreement. Think so? Do you? Sometimes resting too much is bad for you. They are quite correct. All illness comes from the mind, don't you know? Everyone suspected for a while Rena isn't really sick, at least physically. It's just that so many things happen to her at once, she's caught a mental cold. And that's why I thought she'd get better once she played with us, just like we used to. It seems Rena's aware of that too. She knew she had to get out of her state of depression soon. She wanted to get better, and she wanted to have fun again every day. Okay. I'll do it. I'll do it. Okay. Great. That's the spirit. Consider the fact that Rena is still recovering from her illness. Let's play a tabletop game today. Let me see. Mion started rummaging through her locker, humming to herself. Took one game after another from the locker and put them aside. That locker did not obey the laws of physics. The amount of games she took out from the locker was more than what it could physically hold. Oh, I forgot about this one. Let's try this. Today we'll be playing this detective game. Ooh, what's that? Sounds interesting. This is the game where you guess the culprit, the murder weapon, and the scene of the crime. We're playing Clue. It's a game where you use your brain. You'll pick it up as you play. All you should do is note down the information you have. Oh, in other words, you need to learn the trick of note-taking. This is a game for intelligent people like myself. The rules don't seem that difficult. In short, it's a game where you stand out the cards each player holds in order to try and reason the identity of the cards first drawn out of the deck. There are plenty of games in different formats where you try to identify something hidden in the least number of steps. This one just happens to be a competitive one of those. The key to winning this game would be how well you can organize your information. We usually like to play athletic games so we can run around a lot, but in our club you gotta excel academically and athletically. Alright, this is gonna be great. Let's play. Rena, do you remember how we still haven't decided the winner of the water gun battle? I'm gonna settle it today once and for all. Oh, are you? I'm not gonna go easy on you. If Rena's getting serious, I'll get serious too. Indeed. Since that water gun battle, I have reevaluated Keiichi-kun and Rena-san. I'm going to be merciless today. Oh, this is getting interesting. This old man's been waiting for everyone to get this fired up. Excellent. Let's do this. Alright, so they're playing some Clue. I'm down to play Clue once in a while. Although some people are really bad at Clue. Are you ready? I did it with a knife in the library. Okay. My turn. Keiichi did it with poison in the hall. My turn. Mion with a pistol in the lounge. You're holding the pistol, aren't you? You're bluffing. I think I know the suspect and the murder weapon. I've narrowed down the scene of the crime to 2. Good ricochet. I've narrowed down the suspect to 2, but it's hard to pin down which it is. I'll give you a tip. There's always a hint in the questions the other players ask you. If you figure it out, you can even solve the whole mystery by the order of cards the others put down on the table. I see. Hello, lasers. Hello, poker. See, damn it. I underestimated the depth of this game. Oh no, my notes are such a mess. I can't read my own handwriting. Once you acquire the skill of note-taking, you'll have a 70% chance to win this game. But even a 70% chance won't be enough to defeat me. I kind of knew I didn't stand a chance of winning this game, but I gradually started picking it up. Rena was getting her energy back as she played along. It was the right decision to force her to play with us today. While we were in the middle of the game, Chie came into the classroom. Ah, you look like you're having fun. Anyway, this is Ryugu-san here. Huh? You're a visitor. Everyone looked puzzled. Parents sometimes show up at school for some reason, but Chie-sensei never called them visitors. It's rare to have a visitor at school. Is this Uishi? I wonder who it is. Oh, I gotta go. You can continue without me. Rena left the class at a run. What should we do? Should we wait for her? Well, we don't know how long it's gonna take. Rena told us we could continue, so let's do that. Yeah. Around the entrance, the glaring sun and cool shade made for a clear contrast. Called it! An old man holding his jacket on his arm was waiting for me. He looked like he was overheating and his tie was limp. Are you Ryugu-san? Rena Ryugu-san? Ever since Rena called me Rena, I hated that name more than ever. Because of that, I didn't have a good first impression of this man. Me. Yeah, I know who you are. Or ask. My car has air conditioning, so why don't we move this into there? Aren't you hot out here? He ignored my question and started walking towards the car parked in front of the school gate. If he wanted to talk about something normal, he would have used the teacher's office. But he wanted to talk in his car instead, and I couldn't help but feel suspicious. Chie let him see me, though. Meant he wasn't a suspicious individual as far as she's concerned. Who is he? I don't bite, you know. Please, this way. Called out to me while opening the rear door. You a policeman? Did the police find I killed those two? I felt anxious all of a sudden. Was this what they call the voluntary interview? I'm gonna be completely honest, like, even if you're completely innocent and do shit wrong, you probably shouldn't be talking to the police. For an interview, or going with them anywhere. Unless you're like actively trying to help them fix something that you have a problem with. Unless you have a problem and you want the police to solve, the police are not there to help you with anything. In fact, they're there to arrest you and earn their paycheck. If they can find anything to convict you of. I didn't want to go in that car, but if I rejected his offer, it'd make me look suspicious. Yeah, and that's why you don't want to have to talk to the police. I prepared myself and got in. It was really cool inside the car. The AC must cost a fortune. At least my father's car didn't have one. Please let me know if it's too cold. I like keeping it that way. Let's talk about it. In retaliation, I ignored his question and got to the point like he did. He pulled a small notebook from his breast pocket and flipped through it. He picked out a photo from it. It showed the face of a goofy-looking man. Please tell me if there's anything you know about this person. The man in the picture was expressionless and looked half asleep. Sometimes you can't recognize your own family members in a photo where they don't have an expression. There's no way I would recognize a person who wasn't related to me. But anyway, that was a bit of a relief. This had nothing to do with Rena or her partner. There were scribbles on his shirt. We found the signatures of students at this school, including yours, Ryugu-san. Is this Tomitake-san? I don't feel his usual carefree unreliableness from this picture at all. From his half-awake, emotionless face. How about this woman, then? I knew what he was going to show. Her name's Mio-san, Mio Takano. Where did you see them last? I think it was right after the Watanagashi festival. Did you notice anything strange? Anything? Please tell me. Did something happen to them? Interesting. So this time, in this loop, instead of Keiichi being pulled in, it's Rena being looped in by the cops. Yeah, I got it. Tell you the truth, I wasn't sure if it was Rena or Mion. You gambled? How risky. Doesn't matter how he won. Matters as he won. Oh, Rena, welcome back. What took you so long? Mion noticed Rena had returned. She looked exhausted, but I have no idea what she talked about with the visitor, but it was obvious it wasn't anything fun. Rena, are you okay? What? Oh, what's okay? What? I'm talking about you. You look pale. Are you sure you're alright? Rena tried to convince us she was fine, but her face clouded over for a moment, and she decided to leave early. Rena, your friends literally helped you bury bodies. Like, come on. Are you seriously not going to tell them? You're like, I can't tell them this. I can't tell them I talked with a police officer. They're investigating Tomitake's death. I can't tell them that. That's inappropriate. I mean, giving them information the police have? I can't do that. That'd be criminal. Actually, it's not even criminal. He asked nicely. You didn't sign an NDA. You're fucking fine. You can tell them whatever you want. We just won't like you for that. I shouldn't have forced her to join the game. I was regretting it a little. Rena probably forced herself to play with us, even though she wasn't feeling well. She put her stuff in her bag, apologized to us for leaving, and left the classroom. Well, she's gone now. I guess we gotta keep playing until we have a loser. That's right. Whose turn is it? Okay, Rika, come on. I'm curious what they talked about, or why she's so depressed. I guess hopefully she'll share tomorrow? That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping Rena shares what's going on tomorrow. I assume everyone else will know anyway in a day. Let's see. First of all, I wasn't close to Mio-san. I knew who she was, so I'd greet her whenever we happened to pass by. Why is the text orange? Note that Rena's text was like pink, purple-ish, and now it's orange. I knew who she was, so I greeted her when she happened to pass by, but that was about it. I never really talked to her except for the one time. And that was only recently. It was between the day of Watanagashi and, well, The day I was caught burying the two corpses by Keiichi and my other friends. I had a phone call from the library that evening and was told that my father needed to return the book he borrowed. He was shopping at the home improvement store at the time, so I went to the library to return the book for him. And while I was there, I thought about borrowing some books. Went wandering around the library. I saw her there. Oh, Rena, hello. Mio-san, hello to you too. I didn't expect to see you here. Really? I was gonna say the same thing. I always spend time here, and I've never seen you. You're back watching with your cats. Nice. She smiled in the very attractive and charming way that only mature women could do. Her smile gave no indication she knew her death was just a few days away. She said she often met with Tomitake at the library. It seemed she had some time to kill, so she told me she wanted to buy me a drink. I had nothing to do after that. I let her buy me a canned iced milk tea from the vending machine in the library, and we talked for a bit. Once I came to think about it, it was a little ironic. She mostly talked about the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. She had no idea she was going to be the victim of its 5th year. Series of mysterious deaths? You've heard about it at least once, haven't you? 4 years ago, the manager of the construction site was murdered. 3 years ago, the Hojo couple. 2 years ago, the Furude couple. Last year was the Toko's aunt. The series of deaths have been going on for years now. In a few days, it'll be the 5th. I've heard about it, but you don't know for sure someone will die this year. I do. Someone will die in a few days for sure. There's that old saying, everything that happens twice happens a 3rd time. Isn't it also true what happens 4 times will happen a 5th? Mio was convinced that the 5th mysterious death was going to happen, but she didn't know she was going to be the 5th victim. It's ironic and also creepy. There was also something creepy about her. Maybe she knew she was going to be killed in a few days, but still managed to make that mysterious smile. The series of deaths in Hinamizawa. Of course I know about it. I've lived here more than a year. Every year on Watanagashi, one traitor to the village dies. It's been that way since the dam conflict. Each case was solved individually, but mysterious incidents can still happen every year. It makes me wonder if there's some kind of will to all this. The creepiness and incomprehensibility give rise to the name The Curse of Oyashiro-sama, which fits perfectly. Despite this, I always thought the curse was just a series of coincidences. My reason for that is I strongly believe Satoshi was the one who murdered his aunt on the 4th year. I don't have any evidence, but I just know it. I knew Satoshi was in a serious predicament, and he had nowhere to run. He had no one to help him, but he had to save Satoku as soon as he could. Satoshi thought it through and made the best choice he could to handle the situation, just like I did when I had that problem with Rena. I hesitated to inform Mio that Satoshi was the murderer on the 4th year, so I just listened to her for a bit. According to her theory, the series of deaths isn't just a set of coincidences, but instead a series of interrelated murder cases. At that point, my theory was completely the opposite of hers, but I decided not to cut in. You know about the cult of Oyashiro in Hinamizawa, don't you? Akano started telling me that Hinamizawa was once called Onigafuchi. She explained the story of the villagers in the old days, showing me the scrapbook she was so proud of. The villagers back then were called man-eating demons, but admired as transcendents, enlightened people not bound by earthly desires. According to your theory, a group of cultists who worship Oyashiro are living in Hinamizawa, and they're trying to show the power of their god by enacting the series of deaths, right? I'm not sure if we should call them cultists or fundamentalists. The line between them is somewhat vague. In the Meiji era, when the name of the village was changed to Hinamizawa, the customs and traditions were brought to an end. I think there are some people here who want to revive those traditions and regain the name and awe of Onigafuchi. Mio's theory was more than a little crazy, but it was fascinating at least. At first her theory sounded like she was jumping to conclusions, but she showed me the documents she'd been studying, and I started to think it might have not have been too far from the truth. If her theory is true, it means the accidental deaths of the Hojos, and the suicide and death by disease of the Furude, the drug addict murderer in the 4th year, were all cooked up. Someone who had a lot of power and influence over the police was involved. When I pointed it out, Mio nodded in agreement, and she started talking about how strongly they were rooted in the village, and how deeply they were involved with many public organizations. Yeah. After she finished explaining all that, I finally noticed that Mio-san was suggesting that the three families, including the Sonozaki, were the masterminds behind the murders. Well, it's been hinted that they're not. In fact, the Sonozaki family really is powerful. They hold influence not only over Hinamizawa and Okinomiya, but also the entire Shishibone area. It may not be wrong to say they even hold influence over the entire prefecture. If the Sonozaki family is behind all this, her theory could be more realistic. That means I should be suspicious of Mi-chan. No, I won't. But in fact, Mi-chan was very cold and unkind to Satoshi when he was going through a tough time. I know there was conflict between the Sonozakis and Hojos during the Dam Wars, but still, she was very cold to Satoshi. Mi-chan admitted what she did was wrong, though, and I forgave her. I didn't want to think about that again. I decided to change the subject because I knew it would make me feel uncomfortable if we kept talking about the Sonozakis. First, what's the people's belief in Oyashiro-sama about? It's funny that demons and humans wanted to coexist. In folktales, humans really try to wipe out the demons. Quite true. Why Oyashiro-sama is so interesting. But there's actually many stories they say people in old days worshipped a god that drifted to our world from the land of the gods. It's the worship of drifted gods. In other words, there's a number of myths all over the world about people worshipping a god who came from beyond the sea or from up a river. The gods in those myths are people who came from different countries, right? Right? That's the general theory. Ancient Japanese culture was far behind that of other nations. When Japanese people those days saw a foreigner from a developed country, they were impressed by their knowledge that the person had. They started worshipping them as a god. That's one theory. I heard the red oni and blue oni were actually foreigners who drifted ashore in Japan because their boats got shipwrecked. Japanese may have created tengu out of foreigners too. They probably saw a foreigner who had a reddish skin with a long nose. You're sharp, Rena. I agree. I think most drifted god worships are based on encounters with foreigners. But if so, Onigafuchi's drifted god worship would have had a contradiction. Do you know what it is? I don't. Easy. Onigafuchi isn't adjacent to the sea. Of course. In order to have a connection to foreigners, the place in question must have a connection to the outside world. In Western countries, that would be rivers between adjacent countries. In Japan, the connection would be the ocean. So most of the drifted god stories in Japan originate near the shores. Isn't there a possibility the foreigner watched shore elsewhere and traveled to Onigafuchi? Well, the thing about the worship of Oyashiro-sama, it specifically pinpoints the swamp as the place where the demons first appeared. The swamp isn't connected to rivers. How could a foreigner wash up there? That's why the mystery of Oyashiro is so interesting. How much do you know about the legend of Oyashiro-sama? I read a picture book about it in school. I feel like I know a lot about it, but I actually don't. I just have an extreme fear of the rule not to leave Hinamizawa. After all, my life went wrong when I left. I felt dizzy when I tried to think about it further, so I stopped. When everything went wrong in Ibaraki, I met Oyashiro-sama, and he told me to go back to Hinamizawa. Oh, no, I'll get dizzy. Don't try to remember. Don't try to remember. I can't remember. I can't remember. I got desperate because I felt responsible for the divorce. I just used Oyashiro as an excuse for my mental instability and told my father I wanted to go back to Hinamizawa, right? But wait, Oyashiro did come to me. Oh no, the colors, they're too dazzling. I can only remember the vivid color of the pills. The dizziness. That's all you need to know. The demons came from the swamp, and they attacked the villagers. Oyashiro saw it and came to save the villagers from the demons by exiling them to hell. The demons cried, the villagers felt bad for them. They decided to let the demons live in the village with them. Oyashiro was impressed by the kind hearts of villagers, so he gave human forms to them and let them coexist. The blood of the demons blended with that of the villagers, and they lived alongside each other. That's what I read in the book. I felt dizzy, like I was going to faint, because I touched the one memory I didn't want to. People say most myths are based on the event of some sort that happened long ago. Why don't you just step out of the conversation or say, like, you need to get a breath of fresh air? Sorry, I'm not feeling well. Excuse yourself, leave. What event do you think is the truth behind this myth? Because I was still dizzy, all I could do was tilt my head quizzically. It seemed like Mio was expecting that response, because she smiled. Looking satisfied, she successfully made me confused. She took a scrapbook out of her bag. I'll let you borrow this for a while. Thank you. But I don't worry, just read it when you have some time to kill. I want to know what you think about things written in this book. I'd like to know, even if you disagree, because you're really sharp. Jiro-san isn't interested in things like this at all, so I appreciate your input. I had little choice but to take the book. Apparently Mio came to the library often, so I figured I could return it to her whenever I came to return my books. However, the day I'd return the scrapbook to Mio never came. What's wrong? You don't look so good. Are you feeling okay? I caught a summer cold. I'm still recovering from it. It wasn't the summer cold making me feel dizzy. It's trying to access her memories, right? I always get dizzy when I try to remember the time I met Oyashiro-sama in Ibaraki. I mustered all my courage and asked her. My memory of those days in Ibaraki is blurry. I know I met Oyashiro. Nobody believed me. They told me it was a hallucination. But I thought Mio would listen to me. Mio-san, can I talk to you about something? Of course, you listen to me, so it's my turn to listen to you. It's about Oyashiro-sama. You might laugh at me. I won't. You didn't laugh at me either. Mio said it in a gentle and mature way that encouraged me. Even so, I still hesitated to talk. There was probably nobody but Mio who I could talk about something like this, right? I gathered my courage again and spoke. I've met Oyashiro-sama. You have? Yes. I used to live in Hinamizawa until right before I went to elementary school. But my mother got a job in Ibaraki, so we moved. Well, you know what that means, right? I do. You broke the rule of Oyashiro-sama, which is to never leave Hinamizawa. That's right. Then many things happened. My mother divorced. My father. My family was broken. I got desperate. I did some bad things. It must have been terrible. And then what happened? I started hating everything. I started to feel like everyone who was happy was looking down on me. And that's when an existence started to appear. You mean Oyashiro? The first time it came to me was... please don't tell anybody this. It was when I started injuring myself by cutting my body with a knife. I cut my neck and something dirty and gross came out with the blood from the wound. It was... I'm not gonna laugh. Go on. This is new. The chill I felt at that time came back to me. I sealed the memory away so I wouldn't have to remember ever again. But once I unsealed it, I started remembering things one after another. Back then, there was something in the blood, something crawling. Those countless dark red maggots, they squirmed up and out of my neck with each drop of blood. They wanted to stay in my body, so they crawled back in through the cut. I didn't want those creepy things in my mouth. I clawed the cut on my neck to get them out. It hurt so much, it only made my hands and neck bloody. I got scared all of a sudden. I was scared because I thought there were that many nasty maggots in my blood vessels, so I cut a blood vessel in my thigh to see how it looked. I thought I could see it better if it was my thigh. It was different there too, there were so many of them. I understand, Ryuka-san, please calm down. You don't understand. The maggots came out with my blood. They tried to get back in my veins. It really itches. Please bring a doctor. No, don't clot it like that. Bring me a sedative. Hurry. Hurry, hold her down. Please kill the maggots in my veins. Please take all the blood out of my body. Flush my veins out. There's so many of them in there. How would you believe me? I'll show you. You'll believe me if you see them, right? I don't want to get any more shots. No. Calm down, okay? Mio sat next to me and held my hands tightly. Her touch brought me back to reality. So what happened? Nobody believed me, but then he showed up. Oyashiro came to me. Memory was vague, and I saw flickering lights, making it difficult to remember. I met Oyashiro-sama. Sentences, all I remembered. The memory of meeting him was unbelievably vague. After I got out of the hospital, I continued being treated at home. I still felt something moving in my veins, so I wanted to cut my body to make the blood ooze out, so I could make sure there were no maggots in there. Usually I was sleeping like the dead because of the strong pills I was taking, but one day, I forgot to take the pill and my consciousness was clear. I felt the maggots moving in my vein and I felt the urge to look inside. I cut a vein on my wrist. I knew it. A lot of blood and red, dusky maggots came out from the wound. I wanted to wash them off before they crawled back inside me, so I put my wrist under running water in the bathroom sink, trying to open the vein. Water, blood, and maggots ran down into the drain. Just like squeezing out the pus from a pimple, I squeezed the vein to get rid of the dirty blood and the maggots. I kept doing it. My arm started feeling numb and I felt cold, but I kept going. I thought I might die from losing too much blood, but I kept doing it. My body was filled with maggots. I had to squeeze all my blood out of me. Dude, Rena's fucking delusional. Holy shit. This is a little bit further than I thought she went. I thought she had like one moment where she went like crazy. And no, she's like, wow, she got some serious mental problems. Alright. And then a bright light shone upon me. It was a bizarre sensation. I never experienced anything like it in my life. All of a sudden, the dark bathroom was filled with a bright light. It was very bright but gentle. It wasn't like the light from the merciless fluorescent bulb. It was so warm and gentle, and it was Oyashiro-sama. He was looking at me with gentleness and sadness in his eyes. As he touched my wound, the maggots melted and disappeared in front of my eyes. It wasn't all, though. The maggots that were moving throughout all my veins disappeared, too. Oyashiro-sama taught me these maggots were the curse. People of the demon's blood can't live outside of Hinamizawa. It's the rule. Unfortunately, you've been cursed. It's very sad and I feel sorry for you. There's only one way to save you, that's what he said. Oh, I do. The answer was simple. All I needed to do was go back to Hinamizawa. I unconsciously knew that before I heard it from Oyashiro-sama. People who were born in Hinamizawa must never leave. But I broke his rules. I left Hinamizawa, and that's why my family was broken and I lost my mind. See, she admits she lost her fucking mind. If I hadn't left Hinamizawa, nothing would have gone wrong. And so I had to go back. Oyashiro also told me this. He could make the maggots, the embodiment of the curse, disappear, but only temporarily, because I lived so far from Hinamizawa. After a while, the power of Oyashiro would fade away and the curse would start eating my body again. If that happened, the maggots would take over my body. I would go insane and die. I must go back to Hinamizawa before his power to hold down the curse faded away. That's what Oyashiro-sama told me. He did. I heard him tell me that. I should have gone back earlier. That's why Oyashiro-sama came to me to put his curse on me. But he gave me a chance. He gave me a chance to pay for my sin of leaving Hinamizawa. Dad, listen. Oyashiro-sama is going to help us. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. Hinamizawa is where we must live. If we don't, not only me, but you might be cursed too. Let's go back to Hinamizawa, the only place where we can live. We need to hurry. We need to hurry, or Oyashiro-sama's power will fade. My body will be eaten by maggots. Oh no, Oyashiro's following me. He's telling me to hurry. He follows me everywhere. He keeps telling me to hurry. He keeps apologizing to me for putting his curse on me. He follows me everywhere. He keeps apologizing. I'm telling you the truth. I am. Why can't anyone see it? Why can't they see the maggots or Oyashiro? Everyone's trying to fool me. I know they can see them. I don't want to get another shot. Ah. Are you okay? I was breathing hard and Mio was holding my shoulders. I could feel that the terrible memory I'd been trying to forget was awakening. The doctors told me the memory was just a delusion. They told me that since I blamed myself for the divorce, I unconsciously had the desire to blame someone else for it, and I connected the desire to the folktale of Oyashiro that I read when I was little. I got drug treatment, received counseling, and waited. And it gradually got better, and that proved the things I saw were a hallucination. The doctors asked my father to consider moving to Hinamizawa if possible. Fortunately, he wanted to change his living environment to heal his pain from the divorce as well. And that's how we got here. We came back to Hinamizawa, and after we came back, I felt it. I felt it in my bones. This is where we should live. I also felt the Oyashiro-sama's blessing. I definitely felt it. I felt the curse starting to break. I was free. I was free! And after I moved here, I went to the clinic in Gogura for a while. The doctor gave me the same poisonous-looking pills, and I kept taking them for a while. The terrible memory gradually became unclear. Whenever I tried to remember it, I could only remember the strong side effects of the pills. It made me dizzy, but that's how I regained my peace. And then I changed my name, Rena. It reminded me of those bad memories. I didn't want to have anything icky in my life anymore, and that's why I came up with the idea of taking icky things out. After I took the I of icky from my name, Rena, there was only Rei and Na left. That's how Rena was born. I liked it. When I was introduced to my classmates, I told them to call me Rena. Since then, that had been my name. I'm living my new life as Rena. Alright, Rena. I cut away all the sad things that happened when I was Rena. My father still calls me Rena, but I don't feel bad as long as it was just my father and my relatives. But then Rena came into my life and she called me Rena. Because she called me Rena, those colored lights started flickering again. I should stop. I should forget about it. The lights were still flickering. Sorry. Was I panicking that badly? You were muttering to yourself. I'm glad you calmed down. Judging by Mio's reaction, I wasn't panicking as badly as I thought I was. But I probably had those panicked hallucinations several times. If I started screaming and yelling like I once did, they'd take me away to the hospital again for sure. I'm certain I met Oyashiro-sama. I saw the maggots. It's hard to believe, right? Mio smiled, looking a little confused. I couldn't blame her. I didn't expect her to leave it. I'm sure it was just a strange memory I created for myself in my hallucinations. I can't believe I can't trust myself. That's the worst feeling of all. Not being able to trust your own senses? Yeah, that'd fucking suck. Rena-chan, first, you don't have to worry about anything. Yes. I'm talking about the curse you're afraid of, and the maggots you saw in your blood. According to what Oyashiro said, you're free from them as long as you stay in the city, right? Yeah, that's what he said. Then you don't have to be scared. You don't have to worry about anything. You're in Hinamizawa right now. Well, it's Okonomiya, but it's very close to Hinamizawa. I'm sure it's okay with Oyashiro. You don't feel anything moving in your veins right now, do you? No, I don't. Oh, there's nothing to worry about. You're following Oyashiro-sama's rules. There's nothing you should be scared of, is there? Right? No. No. I didn't know until then that she was such a warm-hearted person. I met many doctors and talked to them about this, but they always ignored me and didn't listen. All they did was give me a shot of the drug I hated. On the other hand, Mio didn't deny my story or the existence of Oyashiro. Mio is literally the only half-competent psychiatrist here. What the fuck? Where's the psychiatrist that listens to people's stories and gives them validation? I guess they just don't have good mental health. The profession of mental health is clearly not as developed in the 80s as it was, as it is these days. And even these days, it's still kind of mediocre. The people in this village whisper behind her back she's a little crazy. But she's actually a kind person, I thought. Rena-chan, I believe everything you told me. Thank you so much. You're the first to ever say that to me. Oh, so are you. You're the first who didn't laugh at me and listen to me seriously. I think we can be good friends. Mio smiled, touching my head with hers. Well, I'll let you borrow my secret files and my scrapbooks. They're top secret. I didn't want to show these to anybody, but you're special. I think I can trust you. I know you'll take them seriously. She took a few books from her paper bag and handed them to me. Let me know what you think after you read them. There might be something in them only you can understand. Mio was acting mysteriously. She smiled mischievously and put her index finger on her lips as a sign to keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone about these, or that I'm studying this, okay? Keeping this a secret? Okay, I got it. If they find out I've been studying this, they might get rid of me. He laughed after she said that. They might erase her. That's what she said. And she went missing. She left me her scrapbooks, but that's not all there is to it. It's the way Tomitake died. Ueshi said he killed himself because of a state of excitation caused by using a drug, but I know what happened. I didn't tell Ueshi about it. I don't think he'd have believed me even if I told him. Without a doubt, Tomitake died trying to get rid of the maggots. It was nothing other than the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Never leave Hinamizawa isn't the only rule of Oyashiro. There are more. He might have broken one of those without knowing it. Ueshi told me Tomitake was taking pictures with his camera flash on during the sacred ritual dance, and some people got mad at him for it. Did Oyashiro put his curse on him because he violated the sacred ritual dance? Might be for some other reason. Anyway, he died from the curse of Oyashiro without a doubt. Did that mean Oyashiro put his curse on Mio too? Investigating the gods is the same as getting close to the gods. It's disrespectful. But Mio told me they might get rid of her if they found out about her investigation. By they, she meant humans. According to her theory, the three families are in a conspiracy to revive the faith of Oyashiro-sama. Ooh, but I can tell by the way Tomitake died, it was the act of the curse. I'm certain about that because I experienced the curse myself. And at first glance, it seemed incompatible with those conspiracy theories about human beings. But if I take this myself, Tomitake died from a drug. The drug exists. Was the drug tested on Rena at some point? I remember Ueshi told me something about some kind of drug that can make a person kill themselves. So, do the three families have a secret drug that can cause the curse of Oyashiro-sama? It's impossible. Plus, I didn't get any shots of a suspicious drug like that. I had a normal life in Ibaraki. I wasn't involved with the Sonozakis or the Kimiyoshis. Ueshi asked me a favor. He asked me to tell him secretly if I saw or heard anything suspicious. Could be about Mi-chan, Rika, or anybody else in the village. Mio believed my story about Uyashiro-sama, and now she's gone. Tomitake died by doing the same thing I did. Oh no. I don't want to get involved with the curse of Oyashiro. Is this a conspiracy of a group of fanatical cult members? Is it the curse of Oyashiro? Everything's just a set of coincidence, maybe? Or a mixture of conspiracy and curse? I don't know. Is it the work of humans? The curse? The coincidence? Oh my god, she's gonna have another mental breakdown, man. This chick is not super stable. She's wonderful, but like she's not super mentally stable, and like all the pressure she's under again, it's not good for her. She needs to live a relaxing life. She deserves it. Come on, Rena. Even the light, the sunset, it's making me dizzy. Where did the sunset get so mean? Mio told me to keep her investigation secret. I have her top secret books. They might hold the truth. When I realized that, I got scared. I might end up the same way as Mio because I have her scrapbooks. If it's a conspiracy, I will be erased. If it's the curse, I'll be cursed. I should burn the books. That's the safest thing to do. But Mio believed me. Mio listened to me without laughing. It'd feel wrong to burn them without taking a look, right? If it's a conspiracy, I gotta expose it. If it's the curse, I have to break it. I shouldn't run. I should fight. That's right. I decided to fight to seize my happiness. But you're not gonna tell your friends? I shouldn't give in to misfortunes. Didn't we literally just have this problem? You've already forgotten the problem that we literally solved by like holding hands and working together? And we swore we wouldn't like do this shit? Oh my god. I shouldn't give in to misfortunes. I gotta fight. I'm gonna get rid of all the things that are gonna ruin my peaceful life. I'm gonna read her scrapbooks when I get home. I started walking faster. So you're gonna talk to your friends here, or are you gonna do this solo? Like everyone else who finds these books does? It doesn't end well, guys. It isn't looking like it's gonna end well. New tips. Lunch takeout list. Okay. Attention, Kuroda Medical Clinic. Hello. To get straight to the point, we can assume this is an acute case of PTSD. Patient is subject to tremendous stress due to her parents' sudden divorce and being forced to choose to live with either her mother or father. Furthermore, the patient firmly believes she is responsible for her parents' divorce, which further drives her to self-mutilation. The patient's largest shock stems from a sense of betrayal of her own household, which she believed was an absolute safe haven. Henceforth, there's a high possibility the patient will resort to psychological defense measures to protect her family. For example, she might feel high disdain for anyone of the opposite sex approaching her father. She might feel uncomfortable with having another person in her house. She may also display eccentric behavior in order to keep people away from it. As an example of the latter, there are reported cases of patients unconsciously bringing home garbage. I'd like to point out that Rena does that. It's highly important that the patient remains in close communication with her father. By deepening the communication between the two of them, it'll strengthen their family bond and loosen her anxiety. Since the patient only shows signs of an acute syndrome in this case, there's a good chance she'll recover in 3 months with her father's support and proper medication. However, it's common for a patient who seemed to have recovered to have a sudden recurrence, a flashback, even after 10 years. Her father's fairly young, and there's a chance he could remarry. Seeing an unfamiliar member of the opposite sex through remarriage could trigger a flashback in the patient, which may lead to avoidance behavior or hyper-awareness. Please explain this part thoroughly to the father in order for him to understand the recovery process. Should he decide to remarry, it's recommended he should hold off in telling the patient until she reaches an age where she's capable of living independently. Cause of the patient's psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior, delusional parasitosis, seems to be its own culture-bound syndrome. The patient blindly believes that leaving her home village will cause a curse, and that this curse was the cause of the parents' divorce. We believe this is a subconscious defense mechanism to reduce her mental trauma by shifting the blame from herself to her village's curse. According to the patient's statement, the culture of her home village is extremely strict and exclusive. The patient believes there's no way to be saved from the curse other than by going to the village, as the curse will continue as long as she lives in her current environment. Through this, we see an inclination of schizophrenia and believe the chances are high the patient will continue to alter their perceived reality. Schizophrenia, a case where a patient's personalities are reduced, causing altered perceptions of reality and delusions. Her delusion about the maggots dwelling in her blood is a perfect example. It's also the cause of her psychosomatic, self-mutilating behavior. When a delusion involves psychosomatic, self-mutilating behavior, it's extremely dangerous. Yep, it can cause them to kill themselves. I highly recommend for the father to move back to the village if he's financially capable. Allowing her to live with relatives in the village might also work. If such a strong belief can induce symptoms such as self-mutilation, then there might be other cases similar to this. Perhaps prior medical files that document similar culture-bound syndromes might be available at a large medical institution in her local area. It will be possible to provide better and more accurate mental health care for the patient by obtaining these case files. This B5-sized letter with a bunch of memos. The following was on the backside of the letter. 1 Chukadon, 3 Shanghai-style Gomoku yakisoba, and 1 large fried rice. Clearly, they take their medical notes very seriously in Hanamizawa or Ibaraki, whichever one that was taken in. Very seriously indeed. After all, who knows? Who knows where else you can find paper so readily other than not someone's medical records? And here might be a good place to stop. I think we wrap up our Higurashi for the day.